Okay, good morning, everyone. It's the first day of school, so let's see how everybody performs. Interestingly enough, my grandchildren are in Kitchener, and today's a PD day for them.
Actually,
Yes. Anyways, that's not how we operate here in the West Grey Council. We'll be here to get the work of the community done. So we'll call the meeting to order. And if you could, please rise and we'll take a moment of reflection before we begin. Thank you. I'm going to ask Ms. Noble, for those that are attending virtually, you give us some instructions there, Ashley.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Eccles, before I begin, at any point, if you get disconnected, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the ID for this meeting, which is 891-5626-2480. Both members of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be raising their hands physically to speak. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance, please send a chat message to myself, Ashley Noble, Communications Coordinator, and I will attempt to assist you. It should be noted for members of the public that this meeting is taking place across two meeting platforms, both on Zoom as well as being live streamed on YouTube. Public participation, if any, must be done through Zoom and cannot be done through YouTube at this time.
Thank you, Ashley. And I'm going to ask for any of the members, is there a declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from any one of the members of council? Seeing none, if it does appear, you can declare it at any time, regardless. Down to number 4 on our agenda, delegations, and we have 2 delegations this morning. And I believe our first delegation from Monica Singh Soares and Kirsten O'Sullivan are doing theirs virtually. Do we have, I saw Monica flash up on the screen there a few minutes ago. Is Monica with us there, Ashley?
I'm here.
There she is. Good morning, Monica. And we look forward to your delegation. It is that time of the agenda, and the floor is yours. I'm going to turn it over to you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to do a quick tech check to make sure my mic is working okay.
It is working wonderfully. Yes.
Amazing. So good morning to the West Grey Council, to all the staff and residents and guests. And thank you for the opportunity to present today. I know that as Mayor Eccles has said, it is a school day, so I hope I get a good mark on my delegation today. So we're going to be talking about something really important and really fun. Many of you know me as a counselor with Southgate, but today I'm coming to you live as a business engagement specialist with Life Directions Employment Supports. The purpose for today is to introduce something that is really effective and really taking storm, and I wanted to make sure West Grey had the opportunity to hear about it. It's called Light It Up for NDEAM, which is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It's a campaign that's dedicated to raising awareness about disability inclusion in the workplace. Hearing the great deputations that have been happening all around, I definitely have noted that there have been a shortage of supply for workers, and NDEAM wants to highlight how supporting this initiative can bring awareness to powerful, inclusive hiring. Now, we do have a presentation that was submitted there, and the staff is absolutely amazing at West Gray. And if they would have that presentation ready to put up on the screen there, we can get going with some of those slides. And while that's being prepared, I'm not going to take too much of your time this morning. I know it's a fresh month and fresh agenda, so I'm going to really be sticking to the point. So I'll continue to speak about it until the presentation comes up. So basically our mission, thank you so much, staff there. If you wanted to go on to slide 2, Life Direction Employment is dedicated to promoting diversity and inclusion within the workplaces. We partner with businesses to offer tailored employment solutions that enhance hiring and retention, improve disability awareness, and connect employers with local job seekers who are facing barriers to employment. When we look at slide 3, just to give you an idea of our services, our job seekers, we help to transform abilities into career opportunities by providing recruitment, training, and retention support. These services are available free of charge to anyone in the community. For employers, we help equip employers with resources and training through our Career Resource Center, helping to create a more inclusive, productive workplace. Just important to note that, as we all know, in Northern Ontario, according to a report by Northern Policy Institute, the region faces significant labor shortages, with employers struggling to find retain skilled workers. The out-migration labor shortages within employers are struggling to find and retain workers. And just to point out one critical statistic, in Northern Ontario, we have the highest percentage of people with disabilities compared to provincial average, which is approximately 24% of the population living with a disability, according to Statistics Canada. So this underscores the importance of initiatives like NDEAM, which promotes the inclusion of people with disabilities in the workforce. We're essentially wanting to bring a highlight that people with disabilities is such a big population that can help answer a solution to the shortage in our labor force. If we move over to slide 4, just want to touch on what ODIN is and give you the idea of our relationship. So ODIN is the Ontario Disability Employment Network, which I refer to as ODIN. And it is a province-wide organization that collaborates with businesses and employment service providers to create employment opportunities for job seekers with disabilities. When we go to the next slide there, when we look at campaign leadership, ODIN has spearheaded impactful campaigns like Light It Up, driving the evolution and future of disability inclusion in the workplace, and they're always just doing great things provincially. And the next slide, we'll see collaboration with Life Directions and ODIN. So essentially, our partnership with ODIN empowers us to leverage their resources and promote inclusive hiring practices, ensuring that businesses have the support they need to build diverse and productive workplaces. So it's an amazing, powerful partnership between the two, from the provincially wide initiative down to our municipal grassroots level. On slide 7, and we're moving along very well now, the impact of disability inclusive hiring practices, it not only transforms lives, but also enhances workplaces success by increasing productivity, engagement, and profitability. It also drives cultural changes, strengthens brand reputation, and ensures businesses remain competitive. Slide 8. Now we're getting to the fun part. And I say it's fun because we all need some light, and why don't we light it up for a great cause? So NDEAM is an annual October campaign promoting disability inclusion in the workplace. And there's an important statistic there that shows 27% of Canadians have a disability. So we're talking about almost a third of our population. And underneath, you can see Canada sign that's lit up. So that gives an idea of how the lighted up would look like. And if we move over to the next slide, perfect. Thank you so much. So again, it's a lighted up is a nationally coordinated special lighting event in recognition of NDEAM awareness. And you can see that Brantford right there, that was the actual first city hall that was lit up. And so I wanted to make sure I included that picture. And if we move to the next slide, we can take a look here that we have 147 plus communities that are participating and counting. The next slide, we will see that we have 700 locations, and this is actually already increased and counting. And if we go to the next slide, 45 plus federal buildings nationwide and counting. And the next slide there. So just wanted to touch on why the colors. When we look at the significance, purple symbolizes creativity and cooperation, while blue represents trust and professionalism. If there was going to be a choice between the two, my understanding is that purple is the one that's suggested. And the next slide, I believe we're going to head into a video. Well, before the video, which is about a few minutes, this is a truck that's lit up, and I love Transformers. And so I thought to include that. I thought it was really cool. So the question is, are you next to light it up, West Gray? So if we go to the next slide, there is a quick little video that will help to encapsulate, and we're almost near the end. So if, staff wants to go ahead and set that up, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I don't think we have the ability here.
Okay.
Technology, we're a little
Sure.
disabled.
No,
point in
that's
time.
okay, Mayor. That's okay, no problem. But so with regards to the video, I did include the little URL. So anyone's welcome to take a look at it. We can move on to the next slide there. Just going to show some of the participation and delegations that have been done. We just did the town of Blue Mountains. Orangeville has already signed up. They're already proclaiming, and they're going to be doing that on October 17th. They're going to do the whole thing there. West Gray, that's you right there. We're doing the delegation right now. We have Jordan Bluffs coming up. The next slide will show some more participation, which would look like, I think it's coming up on the next one there. There we go. Thank you so much. So we did Hanover. We did Gray County, which was one of our first delegations. Shawging Shores is upcoming. South, I think that's Northern Bruce Peninsula. And we have another slide. What's happened now, this is kind of set off across Gray County and beyond, to be honest, Gray, Bruce, and Owen Sound. So we're working very diligently with South Gray Chamber of Commerce. We're working with the Southeast Gray Support Services and Life Directions. All of those three are already signed up to do the proclamation, to do the lighting up in their respective way. And if we go to the next slide, and we're almost near to the end here. We have more participation. So we have Shawging Mobility, which is, of course, our disability transportation services, and VPI Employment Services. They have 11 branches, and I believe all of the 11 are going to sign up and be lighting it up. So more delegations are on the way, and upcoming exciting announcements are coming very, very soon. You'll see it shortly on social media as well. And if we go to the next one, so just collaborative efforts. So we just, with different levels of government, local businesses, and the Chamber of Commerce, along with the participation with municipalities like Orangeville, Hanover, Town of Blue Mountains, and so forth, and Odin providing all the resources and the support, working through Life Directions to bring this out and spearhead it here. If we go to the next slide, we are just calling for you to get involved, and that can be 3 ways, 1 way, whatever works. You can proclaim the support by doing a proclamation. You can find one of your favorite lighted up landmarks. So that can illuminate a building, a water tower, or whatever you believe would be the best. And of course, sharing your success. So it can be even a hashtag, putting something on your township, site, and just sharing those hashtags out there and getting people excited. Many people with children with disabilities, people living with disabilities in their adulthood. I think it would be something to really bring the community together and being a really great building initiative. So we're almost to the end, I believe. If we go to the next one, the next slide there. So these are just 3 really nice lighted up. I like the Starfighter. That's a CF-104 Starfighter, Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum, Mount Hope, Ontario. The next picture is Cabot Tower, Signal Hill National Historic Site in St. John's. So it's coast to coast. And Telus Tower, 25 York Street, Toronto. Just to give you some ideas of the different buildings and landmarks that are lit up. And when we get to the final slide there, I believe we're at the end of our presentation. So there's my contact information. Kristen O'Sullivan, I'm here on her behalf as well. She's our wonderful leader and coordinator. And there's website information for anyone who'd like to get involved in the public. And of course, West Grey Council, your amazing council, amazing staff. And we would love to, see you light it up. And that concludes my presentation. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity to speak to you today.
Well, thank you very much, Monica. And yes, great showing the support for the disability and how that can get more involved to resolve our labor shortage issue in rural Ontario and Northern Ontario especially. So thank you very much. We'll take that into consideration. We do have a lighted up flag policy and whatnot. We'll see how we go forward with that and how it's received. And we have until the third Monday of October, is it? I believe
It's
is what you
October.
said there.
Yes, sir. It's October 17th is the date, but you are more than welcome to light it up starting October 1st. So whatever works for West Grey, but October 17th is the big day.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much this morning, Monica. Great.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you, Mayor. Bye, Council.
Goodbye. Okay. We have a second delegation this morning. Gurgeet Nefi, thank you very much for coming in. Could I ask you to use the microphone? Yeah, at the table. Absolutely, yes. Going to make it difficult if you're not sitting to use that microphone, but yeah. And there should be a gray button there that will activate that microphone. Push it.
Yeah, that's it's going.
Sorry. There we
Yeah,
go.
now it looks like good. Okay, thank you very much for
Technology.
helping me.
Somebody had the on-off switch on. Off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay,
morning,
thank you
Brigitte.
very much.
The floor is yours.
Thank you very much today that I can speak here for the council. I'm very grateful. My name is Birgit Neffes, you heard, and I'm usually coming from Germany. I came here to take care of my very ill aunt. She was also dementia for years. And then COVID came, and somehow I had a dog. I brought a dog with myself, and she had a dog. And after COVID hit and my aunt has passed, I started rescuing some dogs. And the first intention was I wanted to study what are the problems coming from, how the behavior is also when they grow up in a family, as a dog family, I mean, and family people as well. And I studied them to find out where trauma comes from and how to heal that, because that was also my profession. I was a holistic practitioner and I was a teacher in Germany. I always studied how to find out where trauma comes from and to help the kids and the animals to overcome that. So I took animals in that were in trauma and tried to make them best dogs with animal communication and trust technique, what is a wonderful tool and brings great objects. I could adopt some dogs out already, and the people say it's the best dog they ever had. These dogs get so trained that they stay with you. They would not run away. You would not find an ad somewhere, my dog has left me or something, you see, and they can do tricks and they like to do that. They get trained in the group. So I have maybe a lot of dogs and everybody is calm waiting, calmer than kids and doing the tricks, whatever they want them to do. And then I'm looking for the right people to give them a home forever. In the moment, I have a lot of dogs because it's hard to find people to adopt a dog. After COVID, so many dogs got thrown out. And usually since years, I have asked for a kennel license and I have paid it. And I every year get the remark, you have to pay your kennel license, what I did. And then I thought it was okay. And then there was also the problem that I need sooning. But I didn't really, I wasn't sonic, sorry. My English is not perfect, sorry about that. So I was I was just challenged with so many what is to do and how and so far. But the problem with kennel was for me too. I'm not breeding and I'm not boarding. It's a sanctuary. I like to help animals in need so that they don't get to put down and make them the best they could be. You can come and see that. You would be amazed. And yeah, then we ran into the problem that they said, if I have no sooning, but can you adjust the sooning for what I'm doing or something like this? And then I say, I have no sooning, I have to buy tags for every dog. But these dogs will not stay with me. Some of them will, and some of them have, because till they are out of trauma, till I can give them. Because if you give a dog and it comes back worse than you give it, and it makes maybe trouble or causes issues, that's not what I want. Yeah, and I'm just asking because I really need did everything to make it possible that I can feed all the dogs, that I can have them in proper space, and they're most time with me. They're not just put somewhere. I am with the dogs, and that is very important to heal them. Yeah, and I'm asking if we can find a way how I can keep them without making it much more expensive just to be able to do this work. You see, maybe can you reduce the tax, or can you, and these dogs will not stay all with me. There are already 2 or 3 where people are interested and where we're working on to get them there. And if I adopt a dog out, people come a few times so that I connect them. They are used to be connected. And when the people come a few times, the dog learns to know them, because these dogs are very clever and very sensitive. And when they learn to know them, then it's easy that they will go with them and stay with them. And then I also visit the people to make the dog not afraid where they are going now, so that they knew their new home, you see. And then when any issue is, I go right away there and help. But after a day or 2, the dog is fine with the new people this way. And I would like so much to go on and also to show people how to do that. It's very easy. It's that you need to know how can the dog understand you. And animal language is a body language that makes it very, very easy. And the dogs usually, when they look like stupid, they just understand us not, because we say something and we act in a different way. And the dog is just a question mark. What's up with you? You see, it's not that the dog is stupid. We need to learn. And I had people here to show them how this works. And they said, we can now much better with our dogs. I had somebody calling me, they wanted to give their dog away because it's starting to bite and to nibble and not behaving anymore well. And I told them how the dog can understand them. After a week, they called me, we keep it now, it's so nice. And I would be happy if I could find as well some support here in the community to do this. And as well, I got people out of trauma. I got people out that were totally afraid of dogs in 1 hour. And it's healing. It's healing. It's like animal therapy, but it's not just I pet the dog. It is to learn, understand each other and help each other. The dogs are very clever. Yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions. Yeah, you have to. Yes.
Hi, my name is Adria Balaban. I'm Birgit's friend. I just met her under a year now, and my husband and I have grown to love and respect her. She has the biggest heart. She has bigger than all of us put together, I would say. She's such a kind person, and she thinks more for these dogs than for herself. She's such a loving person, but she would do anything for these dogs, and she knows what she needs to do, but she needs help. She's on a very low income, and she would appreciate if you would consider helping her out and maybe help her with her vision of something in the future that would help other people as well as dogs. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Brigitte or Doug?
Yes.
Right, so my understanding is you're paying a kennel fee plus
I
every dog.
paid,
you-
yes.
And every dog you take in, you're paying a dog tag fee.
No,
So-
no, with the kennel fee, I didn't have to pay any any tax. But
Oh,
now
okay.
they say because I have no zoning that came up, that wasn't in the beginning. That's why they want me to pay extra on top the tax, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I don't understand Sunni.
But, oh my gosh, sorry,
Zoning,
that's,
zoning, oh, okay, zoning.
that's
okay.
just my
Okay.
English.
My-
It's just
yeah.
my bad English, sorry about
It's all
that.
right, I just didn't understand the word, so zoning. Okay, so now they're saying, our staff is saying you need to pay for dog tags, is that correct?
Yeah, because that's, the zoning is not made.
Right.
But I
okay.
already paid for the kennel fee, so, and I would need more money for the dogs instead of, if you can help in that way.
Right, right,
And you're all welcome to see how wonderful these dogs are, how they develop. And if you know anybody, a good person with a warm heart who wants to have a dog from there would be happy.
right. So, my question, I guess, would be to staff, can we not change the zoning? I think that the kennel fee is a good idea because you have a number of dogs. I do think though that as far as asking to pay dog tag fees, maybe a bit of a stretch because you are providing a service to the community. And when someone takes a dog, I presume that the dog either comes to you with a dog tag or they would have to get a dog tag when they leave from your place, correct?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, when
So
the
a lot of them
people
would already
adopt
have
them, they
dogs.
should have one, of course, yeah.
Right. So my suggestion is if we could change the zoning, that we make an exemption in terms of the dog tag fees, but when it leaves your property, whoever takes that dog, they would have to have a dog tag.
Of course, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's just in the meantime, when they're at my place, I have always to pay for them and I don't want to take more dogs in. I have enough and I just need to get
Right,
them good places. You see, I'm not crazy. I just
Right.
want to make what is the best out of it.
Right. Okay. So I guess my question to staff, is it possible? And I guess question to council, is it possible that we could do some kind of exception because this is a unique situation in terms of rescuing dogs? And it's a lot better to have dogs rescued and looked after than wandering our community and being gathered up by our dog person. So yeah, that's my suggestion.
Staff. Jamie, is it possible to get the zoning on this property?
Three Miracles, if a zoning application is put forward by Ms. Neffy, then that is something that can be considered. However, there is still the requirement that the individual submit an application for a rezoning. I can't speak to whether or not council will approve the rezoning, but certainly that is council's prerogative to do so if an application is received. And through the community improvement plan, there are grant opportunities available for fees associated with zoning applications and things of that nature.
Can I say anything about the zoning as well? It is not only the zoning, it is also that it costs a lot of money that I don't have I need to have it for the dogs. You see, I spent nearly all my savings for the dogs. And is there any grant or something to get this done if it's necessary?
Just what Jamie had just said, yes, there is
Yeah.
business improvement,
Mhm.
that
I-
would
sorry.
qualify for that. And
Mm.
that would allow you to,
Okay, I
start the
understand
process.
not really everything because it's going so quick. My English is, I can speak so usual, but if it's going in different words, I have to have her to tell me afterwards. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. No, just to, no, it's okay. No, it's okay. Thank you. It's okay.
Jamie?
Mhm.
Three Miracles, the Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer is the individual responsible for administering the community improvement plan. So if you reach out to Cody Hewlett, he should be able to assist you with that. The one thing just to keep in mind for council's consideration is that until such time as a zoning amendment is secured, if that is council's prerogative or wish, dog tags are still required for dogs to be in compliance with the animal control bylaws. So at the present time, there is a contravention of that bylaw.
How many dogs At present, would you have,
I have 15 dogs and 3 little ones in the
you got
moment.
18 dogs?
Yes.
Yeah.
But 3, 4 might go soon. We're working on that, and I try to find more people. And yeah, if you know anybody, would be great.
Deputy Mayor Tom.
Mhm.
Hey, Mayor Eccleston, good morning. Thank you for your delegation. Are these the dogs all within the West Gray, or they come from other municipalities?
They could come Cheswood's area. They can also a little bit come, but usually they are most this area around where I live.
Okay, so you do have dogs from other municipalities and possibly another county.
I'm also not sure where the municipal lines are, but usually I think they are this area where I live.
Okay, and primarily are they
Yeah.
adult dogs, or a lot of them are from puppies, which would be?
I rescued in the beginning a mother dog with puppies. When they were 3 weeks old, they came out of a horse stable where the horses were between them, and they were totally in trauma still. Some of them, 2 of them are still.
Okay, so
They got
just,
trampled.
so if they're coming from West Gray specifically, just say,
Yeah.
do you just, like, when you get a call for help, you go to?
No. Usually I don't look around like crazy, but if anybody tells me, I help. You see, I somehow I went into, somebody told me. So yeah, I didn't get a call. Somebody told me if I could look there, it's a very dangerous situation or so. Mhm. You see, I'm not a business. I'm not officially that people. I try if anybody comes and has a reason, but in the moment I'm have enough. I need really to find them places.
Yes, I guess just to segue from what Councillor Hutchinson had said, what you request here is fine, but if the dogs, if I guess what I'm getting at, a lot of dogs are coming from hypothetically Southgate or from
No,
Wellington.
no.
Let me finish,
no,
please.
Not from
Just-
so.
May I
Not,
finish, please?
sorry.
Thank you. If
Yeah.
the majority of the dogs are not from the West Gray area, and you're asking us to supplement or assist, which is what before council, but there are dogs from other areas that you're bringing in.
Mhm.
That's what I was trying to get, that's what I'm trying to get towards. So, the majority are not West Gray animals
No,
to
they're-
start with. So the other question that I had, if somebody was to call you for you to help or to rescue that dog, their dog, do you ever find out if they have an existing dog tag, if they've ever paid that? Is the question I was trying to get to.
Mhm.
So if I call you, my pet, I can't handle, I need help, and you come
Mhm.
rescue the dog. If you asked if they have an existing dog tag, at least we know that you've got a little bit of a track to go forward.
Okay, no.
So, because we don't know where all the
No,
pets
but
come
they're
from.
not coming from far away because far away people wouldn't even know about that. It's more the neighborhood and close people where I go and be. I have never had the opportunity to go far away because my aunt was dementia when she was alive and she was 24/7 and I was pretty done. So it's only around here in the where people know or so.
Further, I'll start with Jeff and then Joyce. Jeffrey?
Thank you. You mentioned that you're not doing this as a business.
No.
So in effect, you are running a nonprofit animal rescue service. Say
I
that.
would it call like that, but I don't know how the formalities are with that. Because yeah.
If we were to if you were to characterize it as a nonprofit animal rescue service, I would ask the clerk, would that be something that would be eligible for grants to organizations?
Yeah, Three Miracles, I don't know specifically. I would defer to the treasurer on that one. That's kind of a finance policy more than anything. Yeah, I'll just turn to Carrie. regardless of whether they would or would not qualify, the grants organization's budget line item has been spent for 2024, so there's no money available left in that pot.
Eligibility, operate as a nonprofit organization with the ability to confirm such status to a level deemed satisfactory by the municipality. They do not need to be registered as a nonprofit organization to meet the criteria. They have to demonstrate that the organization has receiving other sources of financial support. Grants are intended to be supplementary to the main sources of funding for the organization. And the categories eligible for funding: supporting youth and seniors, community beautification, arts, cultural and heritage, and community special events.
Huh?
Sounds like it's sort of borderline.
Okay. Okay, Joyce, Counselor Noon.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. It's just inspires me what you can do with these animals. It's amazing. Mine was the same kind of as the Councillor Shea, if it's any donations even back to you from the people that you help assist with these dogs. So I guess it's just comes down to it's all of goodwill on your part that you're providing this service at no extra fee. I was just asking too for clarification on that, but thank you.
You're welcome.
So council, I'm going to say Brigitte has asked for our assistance. I think to get a kennel license, obviously rezoning is going to need to take place, or put zoning on the property to have a kennel, which would probably have a couple of kennels within the municipality. That process is going to take a bit of time. Boy. In the meantime, as we're proceeding, I think staff can be at liberty, can probably help you through getting the application going. I think as Jamie has said, through the business development program, there might be some assistance with in portions of that. That could help you with that. In short term, where we have problems though is we've got some dogs that don't have dog tag, that don't have tags and are not in a kennel. And the bylaw is that all dogs shall have a dog tag. Is it a possibility? Any solutions that are thought from an administrative point of view? And I can see now the CEO is jumping in.
Thank you. Good morning, Council. Through the chair to Council, the clerk and I were going back and forth messaging as to whether there's a way. I do believe rezoning is the best long-term solution for this, in part because there are neighbors, et cetera. So I really think it makes sense to look at the rezoning long-term and take advantage of the community improvement plan for a grant to perhaps waive zoning charges. I was asking whether there's a way we can temporarily waive the dog fee tags until such time as that applies. our clerk told me that in theory, we can absolutely do that, but we're still talking about an $800 fee that would need to come from somewhere to cover those costs. So it's at council's discretion, but I do really think that we should be considering zoning in the long term so that we don't come up with this
Mhm.
every year.
No, yeah.
Tom, thoughts?
Well, no thoughts on that, but I think moving forward, if somebody in West Gray was to call you, or even outside, to call you to home their pet or rescue their pet or to take the pet in, I think one of the things that you should do as part of that service is they have to purchase the tag moving forward. So that dog would now come with a West Gray tag for right now until we deal with this other.
Okay.
So as you
Oh,
receive
okay,
the
yeah.
pet, it must be registered with a tag here.
Okay,
Then we don't have them, we've got to talk about the rears. We understand that,
Mhm.
but I think moving forward, any new ones come in, okay, yes, I can help you, but you must get
I
a
didn't know
tag,
that, but
and then
thank
at
you.
least that part's taken care of temporarily for now,
Good.
would be one of my suggestions right
Thank
here.
you.
The other part I'm not sure about yet.
Mm.
Jeff? Or
Did you apply for a kennel license?
Not yet, because it was, how should I pay so much? You see, but I have the papers home. I was working on that,
Ah.
but I need first to see how I can, because you when you apply, you need to pay before. That's the point. Otherwise, I would have applied already, but I need first to see how to, it's quite a lot of.
So this
But
seems
if
like,
there's a support, I could, I just need to get assistance, how to get first support so that I can bring in then apply for the zoning.
so this seems like a worthwhile pursuit that you're involved in. And we have some bureaucratic stumbling blocks, which are there for a reason and have to be appreciated. But I'm going to suggest that perhaps we should temporarily waive the requirement for the tags while the various CIP and rezoning options are considered. So perhaps a 3-month suspension of the dog tag requirements for this particular activity could be considered by council. And if that was appropriate to introduce as a motion, I'd be happy to do that.
Through your miracles, I would say that it's difficult to determine with any degree of certainty whether or not a zoning amendment could be achieved in 3 months. So I don't know that putting a 3-month time frame on it is the most effective way of moving forward. If council's wish is to waive the dog tag fees for a temporary period of time, I would suggest that they be waived for the year, being 2024, and then we can revisit this in 2025 if the need is there. Just for council's information, I did do a tally of the total, and at 18 dogs, it would be $930. So that money would still have to come from somewhere to go back into that animal control budget so that there's no deficit there at the end of the year.
You want to make a motion to that, Jeffrey?
Yes, I'd move that we temporarily suspend the dog fee requirements for this particular operation for 6 months to allow for the exploration of some, to work with staff to explore other options. You know what I'm trying to say, Jamie.
Through your miracles to Councillor Shade, the 6-month piece is where it gets a little bit tricky again, because everything resets in January, and if tags are purchased prior to March 31st, the cost is cheaper. So again, just in the interest of effectiveness, I think probably just waiving them for the 2024 year and then revisiting this in 2025 if need be, if a zoning isn't secured by then, would be the most effective way of moving forward. Because if we're waiving them for a 6-month period, there's an assumption that after 6 months, those fees will be paid if there's no zoning secured. So I think just waiving them for 2024 is probably the best way of doing this, the cleanest way of doing it. And then just for clarity as well, given that the money has to come from somewhere, is there a specific location from budget that we can take that money from, looking at the Director of Finance?
Probably council expenses, which is creeping up to be overspent. I think there's no underspent. Not sure where the meeting costs are, maybe.
I suggest that the Director of Finance could find, not putting her on the spot, going forward, kind of research where options may be to fund that. Do I have go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, we can review it and see.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Yep, Councillor Hutchison, and Doug, you had a question.
Right. So I'm just thinking in the meantime, you had suggested that, you know, it's a bit of a challenge trying to keep these animals and feed them. Have you reached out? Do you use social media? Have you reached out to any of your local organizations for support, to help? Like, there's a lot of people out there that would support what you're doing, I'm sure, and would be willing to maybe give you some dog food for a period of time. Have you tried any of that?
I tried once to call Human Society, but I didn't come through to the right persons. It's even a problem for me because when you hear the menus, it's
Right.
really hard for me. I would need somebody who is good in English and knows the right words and go through that. So I tried, but I didn't reach, and I'm not good in social media. I don't know about that. I had sometimes movers here. They did what is on internet or so. They did it for me because I have no idea, not even how to
Right.
to handle that. So I need some help in that, or somebody who,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking Facebook might have been a place
So if
to
something is
start.
going on, then I found a helper.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Do we have any like canine operations or other people that would be in that field that could maybe reach out? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a dog owner, so I don't know that, but
Mhm.
um,
I
Just a
found a
thought.
young lady, she is trying to help with that, but we're just in the start now.
yeah.
She
Yeah.
once visited the dogs and was so amazed that she says she wants to help yet.
Right. Right.
So, and if there's anything not right on the internet, I just can try to help find somebody to fix it because I
Right.
don't know about these things.
Okay. Yeah, well, that was one suggestion. The other question I had is it possible to, since we're postponing the collecting of the fees, is it possible to put this in as a priority next year for our grants to organizations to cover that, or that sort of stretches from one year to the next? So I'm not sure if that's a possibility.
I would, through you, Mayor Eccles, I would caution against pre-allocating 2025 grants to organizations. I think that's something that needs to be looked at holistically when applications are received, and would not recommend that council pre-allocate funds for next year in this year.
Thank you. And if I may, through council to the delegate, given that some of these conversations are veering off the topic at hand here, I'm going to suggest that I will have our corporate initiatives officer, Cody, who can speak to you about the grant for the zoning application. He also has some connections with other people in the community and may be able to put you in touch with some other resources and community groups who might be able to assist.
Thank you.
Thank you. His name is Cody Hewlett. If you go to the front desk when you're finished, they can
Okay.
give you and he will have your information following this delegation and can follow up.
Thank you very much.
No comment? I'm gonna go to Joyce and then Tom. Counselor Nin.
I'm hoping I'm staying within conversation, but you had mentioned about the 900 and some dollars based on 18 tags, but is that the norm like that? Would you will always have 18 dogs? Because I'm just thinking like the difference between a kennel and what she's experiencing. How many tags do you get with a kennel? And don't those kennel kind of go with like all the dogs? They're not specific to a dog. So when you're talking 18 tags and one goes out to a home, then you're down to 17, or you could be down to 10. So meanwhile, you're putting out 900 and some dollars. So it's that range of the cost initially that I'm concerned about when we're trying now to find that money to offset that cost with the fees. So I'm just like, I don't know if it's a fair process.
Through your miracles. So with kennels, when an individual has a kennel and they're licensed, there is no requirement for dog tags specifically. So tags are only required for dogs that are not in a kennel. So the way that the delegate is currently operating, they're classed as pets. So pets do require dog tags. There is an exemption for dogs under, I think it's 3 months. They don't need a tag, but beyond that, every dog in someone's possession that is considered their pet has a requirement for a dog tag. If the tags are purchased before March 31st in a given year, they are $5 cheaper per dog. But the way that the dog tags work is that the first dog is $20, the second dog is $30, the third dog is $40, and the fourth and every dog thereafter is $50. The caveat being that after March 31st, each of those prices increases by $5. So that's why we're at $930 right now.
And that's using 18 dogs. At this present time, you have 13 plus 3 pups,
15 plus 3.
15 plus 3.
Yeah.
3 pups are under 3 months.
No, they're 4 months
That's
now.
not the answer I wanted to hear. but
I know.
Yeah, okay, we're at 18.
As one word, I generally think that puppies should not go before they are 4 months, because they need to learn from the dog, from the siblings, and then additional from the people. Then they have super dogs.
Yep, okay. Tom, your question.
Thank you, Mayor Echols. Okay, so with the motion we got on the floor here, what I'd like to see is the list of what your current inventory is, if you will, with the 18 pets, including the 3 pups. So as they leave or adopted, that tag, so it is going to be a reduction. Hopefully we will see, but that they need to register the dog here as they adopt it. And then off we go. So at least I think it'll come down, if you will. But I think we should know the existing,
Of course.
what dogs you have now in your inventory. And I'm sorry to refer to as inventory, but
No, it's-
like that, at least then as they draw down,
Mm.
we can keep a running tab here, and it may get less than the $900 that we're talking about. Jamie?
Three miracles, yes. If the motion does pass the way it is written, I would suggest that the dog tag requirement would still be there. The funds would just be covered through the council budget, I believe. So the requirement for tags is still there. Each of the dogs in the delegate's care would have tags, so they would be tracked in that sense. However, I guess the not the point of contention, but the thing that needs to be considered and kept in mind is that if somebody from outside of West Grey adopts the dog, there would be no way of tracking anything like that after the fact. So as it stands at the present moment, if the motion as it's written here is passed, the dogs would still require tags. The fee would just be covered from another pot of money aside from the delegate.
Just my follow up on the motion again. I'm going to go back to if you do have a request to adopt another one, West Gray or even outside of West Gray, the dog must have a tag.
Okay,
Moving forward out of the
Yeah.
existing, what you have is what I'm
Mhm.
saying, so that at least we're not going. So I don't know if we can get that on the motion or if it's
Mhm.
understood.
yeah.
Through your Marcos, for council's consideration, I'll just read the motion back, just to make sure everyone's clear. And so that in consideration of a delegation provided September 3rd, 2024 by Brigitte Neffy respecting a request for a reduction in dog tag fees, council directs staff to fund 18 dog tags for Brigitte Neffy for 2024 from the council budget. So with that, if any more dogs come in, there is still a requirement for dog tags. Council is, if this motion passes, providing funds to cover 18 dog tags. So if the delegate gets additional dogs, they would be required to have tags at your expense.
Yeah, you see, there's no more space. There cannot come more in. No, it's not space enough. You see, and I wouldn't. It
Yeah.
really,
But I
I'm
think the interpretation
to
is
get them out.
Thanksgiving, you have two dogs that are adopted out.
I need, yeah.
All of a sudden, now you'll have two more that will come in,
No.
possibly. Yeah,
Even if I adopt out, I would not take so many anymore. You see,
you
I
wouldn't
don't.
take any more in.
No,
Okay,
not
well,
so
then
many.
that's- Yeah,
Okay, it's just, it needs also to be fair to the dogs, to everybody. I have them also in the house and everywhere. They sometimes go all in the house. I feed them all together. They are very well known what they, yeah. And we train only with fun and games.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
so I guess that's the point. that,
Yeah.
You know, but I still think there may be a possibility because of your kind heart, somebody comes to you with a dog.
No.
I'm almost.
It's just not possible. You see, you need to have a space to have another dog safe.
Yeah.
You need to know that as well. You see, it's not a danger for other dogs or for this dog. It needs, if there's no space, it doesn't work. And I'm a logic person, you say.
Yep.
In this way, I'm a very logic person.
Okay.
Can I add one more question?
Certainly before.
You see, I had on Airbnb because one of my movers had the idea that's so fantastic. Other people should see that and should learn about how to handle dogs. And I had on Airbnb walk with the dogs and show them how they act, how they interact, and how you connect to them.
Yeah.
And I was told I cannot do that, but that was helping a little bit to support for food and what else they need,
Okay,
vet costs and
yeah.
things. So I don't know
The
where.
Airbnb, let's stay away from that right
Okay.
now. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
that's-
just wanted to ask. I don't want to make things wrong with anything. Is just let me know.
Yeah.
But I just want to see what I can make. And I also found through that people who adopted a dog. I wanted to say that too, because they saw how great they are and some coming, but because they're looking for a dog. So that was an option also to find space for a good dog. But I just want to ask to make nothing wrong.
Yeah. That'll be, outside of this where we're at
Okay.
right now. So we'll stay
Okay,
focused on this portion of it first to
Yeah.
get it corrected and
Mhm.
help you out.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the motion, council? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. So we've got you till the end of the year. This motion is gonna, with the 18 dogs you have, you're good till the end of the year.
Yeah.
But very important that get a hold of Cody
Mhm.
and our planning staff to start the process of rezoning. We hopefully, if it gets started and there's no complications, we would be able to have an answer for you on the zoning by the end of the year. And starting in 2025, we've got a dog rescue rehab center that you'll be able to run. But no guarantees.
Of
It's
course, yeah.
timing and everything, but you've got things in play. As I said, check with Cody, get Cody's information outside. Anything else I'm missing, Michelle?
Thank you, through council. And I understand, I was messaging Cody. He has spoken to you before, he said, so he can reach out to you again. And if you'd like to get his information at the front, he is aware of
Thank you.
your delegation today.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me and helping me. And it's a great thing, in special for the dogs. And if anybody has a dog who has some issues, I'm willing to help anytime, just to give advice or how to understand her. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and welcome to our community, and hope we can continue this to make it successful for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, one last question. I could offer something to get maybe some money in, but I don't know how. I'm also a musician, I'm an artist, I'm a songwriter. I have beautiful chansons. I could make concerts, but I don't know how and where, and I could raise money for that. I just, if anybody has an idea.
I'll let you contact Councillor Shea and the
Okay.
straggling marching band.
Yeah,
Maybe
just
have
To
something
help
for
any
you.
way I can, you see.
That's where maybe Cody can help you out as well too, give you some.
Oh,
direction
great.
on that.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it for delegations. Do you want to take a quick break, council? And fill up your coffee or teacup? Because I know mine's empty, so yeah, it's the mayor that wants to fill his up. It's extraordinary. It's 10 o'clock. 10:10? Yep, 9 minutes and we'll be back. Okay, thank you. Oh. Getting back to order. Thank you, everybody. Let's get back to the agenda. That's it for delegations. Down to number 5, public meetings. Comment period. Do we have anybody online, Ashley? That's looking for comments? Do we have anybody in the audience? No? Okay. Unfinished business, not aware of any. Then we have the adoption of minutes, and we have the regular council meeting minutes of August the 13th. And the public planning meeting minutes of August the 13th. Can we do both of those together, Jamie? Do we have a mover? Councillor Hutchison, a seconder. Councillor Forrester. Any questions on or adjustments? Councillor Hutchison. Doug?
Just a question under the August 13th meeting, 10.1.2. It talks about the Ontario Rett Syndrome Association purple lighting on October 29th. Just food for thought. I'm curious how that's going to connect with the other delegation we had this morning about lighting up for October, which I believe is purple lighting also. And I'm not sure, how you differentiate and what that's going to look like. So I'm sure we'll have maybe some more discussion as we talk about whether we're going to go that route or not. But
Yep.
there is a bit of an overlap there. It's only a 1 day, that one, but the other is a monthly thing. So
I don't think, really on errors or omissions or whatever from minutes, we can, figure that one out going
Yeah.
forward, what we're
okay,
gonna have.
I just wanted to bring
Yep.
up the attention.
Keep it in point, but
Yeah.
this is just with the minutes, whether errors or omissions. And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, thank you. Committee and board reports. We have 9.1 is the special County of Gray special meeting with all council. We had participation, Gray had participation in that. Need a motion to receive those minutes. Councillor Townsend and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Thank you to receive that. Any errors or omissions there? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Correspondence. We have a number in the package, but what we do have is there is a few that need our attention. To start with, that are looking for more than just information. 10.1.1 is dealing with the Saugeen Special Olympics. Request for an ice time discount. This council may deal with that. Councillor Hutchison, your microphone's on. Do you want to speak?
Sure, I have a question.
Somehow I thought you might.
I guess,
Yeah.
I guess it worked out. For the Special Olympics one, I'm curious how many athletes are local from West Gray. They say they have 46 athletes. And I think we've discussed this before in the past and made some current arrangements. Do we know how many West Gray residents are involved in this ice time?
Okay, Cody, you're the one. Yeah. Everybody else is guessing.
Thank you, and through you, I'm not aware of the exact number, but I believe it's a limited few.
Excuse me, definitely there'll be one. I mean, Brian's daughter is one, and I can think of at least 2 other participants that are living in West Gray that I know offhand, but after that, I'm not, whether it's 10, I'll get to that point or not. Follow up and then I'll get
So
Deputy Mayor.
my understanding, we still store the mats in Ayton, I believe, for this group, right? They're still there.
That is correct.
Okay.
Deputy Mayor, Tom?
Thank you, Miracles, and that's exactly what Councillor Hutchison just asked. And do we have a value on the mats for the space? Because that was part of, I believe, last year for this year is what we did. This falls under grants to organizations as well, and I think that's where that request. So this, in my opinion, this needs to be brought forward in grants to organizations in the new budget, as well as the storage space for the mats.
Any other questions or comments? Jamie?
Three Miracles, just to build off of what the deputy mayor had stated. Yes, this would be considered a grant to an organization, so it would be most appropriately dealt with through that application, which opens up this month. So for anyone out there listening, if you do have a request for a grant for your organization, please fill out that application. If council's not supportive of undertaking this request at this time, then it would be appropriate for a motion to receive the correspondence.
Deputy Mayor, Tom?
I would move that we receive this information. Thank you.
Okay. You have a seconder for that? Councillor Noon. Thank you, Joyce. Any further questions or comments on this? Councillor Townsend. Doug?
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, maybe Cody knows the answer to this. Last year they were skating earlier in the day, were they not? So now they've bumped into prime time, which is prime time that we could maybe sell. I don't know, but it just, as I say, last year they kind of accommodated us maybe by skating earlier in the day, or their coaches or whatever worked out better. To have it earlier in the day seemed to work out. It seemed to be beneficial to both parties with the cost of the ice time and everything. So it's just something else to consider.
Thank you, and through you to Councillor Townsend, you are absolutely correct. In previous seasons, they were earlier in the day, I'll say. And this is a bit of a twofold response based on our ice allocation policy. There is a rental this year ahead of them that took precedent under the policy, being, I believe it is one of our minor sports organizations. So they have that ice time, and it did push them into prime time. However, there is daytime ice available, but I don't believe that fits the need of the Special Olympics team.
Any other comments, questions on this? Receive and respond back to Mr. Carr. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. 10.1.2 is correspondence from the Branch 308 Durham Legion. Request to fly the Legion flag during Legion Week. Looking for this one. Response. Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Tom?
Thank you, Miracles. Yes, I would support this one here. And just one question. In conjunction with that, I was wondering when the flag policy would be brought forward, but I wouldn't support this.
Okay. So that you're moving to support. So put it up. Councillor Townsend. Doug, second that. Any further questions or comments? I guess one comment I can make is that I believe staff is working on a flag policy recognition, however you want to say it. Yeah, and it should be forthcoming in the future. Yep. All right. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And there's a request from the West Grey Public Library, 10.1.3, to recognize October 20th to 26th as Ontario Library Week. I don't think they're asking us to fly flags or anything of that nature. It's just the recognition request. What do you want to deal with that? Scott, Councillor Forster.
I would like to support the request to recognize October 20th to 26th as Ontario Library Week.
Seconder for that? Councillor Hutchison, Doug. Okay. Any other comments, questions on that one? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. There's a number of other correspondence there. Have anybody that has pulled or any questions on the rest of them? We could. Councillor Hutchison, you're moving to receive the rest?
I have a question, but I can move to receive them.
Okay.
I'll fit that question in there somewhere.
Just a question on one? Absolutely. Yeah. So that's to receive the rest of them. We have a seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Thank you. Questions on that motion?
Yeah, the one from the Quinte West, talking about the community building fund and that it's increased by 2%, whereas in reality the inflation over the years has accumulated to 29%. So I asked the question to our Director of Finance, and maybe she can tell us how much our allotment is for the community building fund. And I think it's a good idea. I'm sure this will come forward in the future. People looking for a little more money to help us out with some things. So Carrie, do you have that number?
Yes, we get for 2024, we have $412,840,000. It'll increase to $430,042 for 2025 and 2026. And then projected to increase to $447,244 for 2027 and 2028. So we get a 4% increase between 24 and 25, and then another 4% between increase in 2027.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, thank you. So obviously it's going up a little bit, but not a whole lot. And I'm sure there'll be other municipalities jumping on board, and maybe after AMO and our delegations that there'll be all this money coming forward to us because of our delegation. So I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I just look forward to those increases.
Your positive thinking will go a long way in influencing Queen's Park and the Director of Finance. Any other questions? Joyce, Councillor Nick.
Thank you. This is directed to the Director of Finance. Those percentage increases, are those based on per capita in an area? Because if it is 2% on $100 and 2% on $10,000 is great. So when you only get increments of that each time, the ones on the low of the spectrum are getting farther behind than the ones on the higher end of the spectrum. So I don't like the formula they use. There should be a fair process, and I think we need to address that to our members of Parliament of that process.
You're being quiet, Carrie. You're saying, yeah, it's the formula, and it's, yeah, at this point, it's what we've got to work with. I think you're correct, Joyce. Yeah. Those that get a little but have to spend a lot, percentages just don't work out. And never have. And I guess that's part of where we can continue. You know, we'll send Mr. Positive Doug Hutchison down there and get it straightened out promote it for us. Thank you. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay, that's it for correspondence. Excuse me. Staff reports brings us down to 11.1, Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer. Cody, thank you for joining us this morning. 11.1.1, Community Services, request for renaming the Durham Town Hall Park. Anything other than what's in the report you need to give us an update on or support? Or Cody, go ahead. You want to get using that microphone. Go.
Thank you. And through you, fairly straightforward report in front of council today. As council will remember, in 2022, Durham celebrated its 150th anniversary. And we had quite a large homecoming event take place in town here. With that, the homecoming committee set forth to make an investment in the community, do a community project in which they installed a splash pad in the Durham Town Hall Park. So with that, now that the splash pad is majority complete, we're just working on the final park amenities. We have received a request from the group to rename the park. So that is the report in front of council today. We did do consultation with internal stakeholders here at the municipality, and there was no concerns raised from department heads.
Okay. Do we have, get this one on the floor? There is a motion there moved by, thank you, Deputy Mayor Hutchison, seconder. Councillor Hutchison. Any further questions or comments? Councillor Noon, Joyce?
Thank you. Yeah, I have no objection to the renaming of the park, but there's just a notation here. This request is for name change is for the park in its entirety. The splash pad within the park will be named West Grey Lions Park. So in reality, though, there is kind of two recognitions for the splash pad park being recognized, but we're only really voting on the overall name of the park. Is that correct?
Cody.
Thank you, and through you. Yes, that is correct. So the park amenity of the splash pad itself is the West Grey Durham Lions splash pad. This request is for the park as a whole, so including the playground, green space, basically the whole property, to be named the Durham 150 Park.
Go ahead, John.
Further to that, our CAO had mentioned that the official opening will be held, I think, in May of 2025.
Yes.
So will this be recognized then, or will we recognize it already, like the name change?
So following, if council does grant staff approval on this report, we will launch a community engagement campaign to get community feedback on the renaming of the park. Following that, if it is positive, I will report back to council requesting final approval on the name. With that being said, once the name is finally approved, we will rename the park. But I would say the celebration will take place as part of the home or as part of the splash pad opening, which is tentatively scheduled for the May 2-4 weekend next year.
Okay. Anything else? Scott? Councillor Corson.
Thank you. I was just wondering, do we have a naming policy?
You, Cody.
Through you, yes, we do have a naming policy, and that is why it is in front of council today.
Jeffrey, Councillor Shea.
So to Joyce's question, you're initiating this process to rename the park, but you're saying that the splash pad has already been renamed. Was a similar process gone through for that?
Through you, the splash pad was not renamed. That was the name set from the beginning, but that was with the approved sponsorship level with the homecoming committee.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
So there was no renaming process for the splash pad. The name was set with the homecoming committee when they set it for the sponsorship.
I see. So it didn't have a name, so it was just named. This is renaming. So that has to go through a process. But naming a new facility doesn't have to go through the naming policy?
Not when it is approved under sponsorship.
Can you give some sense of what sort of signage would be reflecting these two names if this is finally approved?
So there would be park entryway signage that would state the Durham 150th Park if this is approved. And then for the splash pad guidelines, that is named as the West Great Durham Line Splash Pad.
Will there be further signage reflecting levels of sponsorship, kind of like we've seen around the dog park?
Yes, but more asset-based. So if you or your family sponsored a bench, you would have a small placard on said bench or tree, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Questions? Councillor Hutchison. Doug?
Yeah, maybe not so much a question as a comment that I think I'm in favor of the naming process. I just wanted to congratulate the Homecoming Committee, in particular Alec Nyman, who put a lot of time and effort into pulling this off. Been there, you've seen the park in action. People are excited about it. They really are enjoying what's there, and I think it's been a great addition to our town, and thank to Cody too for all his efforts on getting this up and running. So congratulations.
Excellent. Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. 11.1.2, Cody, Riverside Park. Have some good news there on some funding, and please.
Thank you, and through you, some very exciting news to share with council today. So West Gray has been the successful recipient of a grant with 100% funding for a redesign of Riverside Park, which sits directly adjacent to the credit union, just directly behind the downtown of Durham. I am able to announce now, because there has been a change since this report has come out, that it has been funded through the My Main Street Placemaking Project. So through this project, we will be doing the design and build of a pavilion/stage structure for music in the park, as well as the park, and upgrading many of the park amenities, including some trailhead signage and a designated area for the portable bathrooms that we install seasonally in the park.
Great news. That's and congratulations on writing up a grant that got approved. The lottery system, and that's, yeah, sometimes I feel that it's even more strenuous than 649 or Lotto Max on getting some of these grants. Congratulations on that. I think it's a wonderful thing, and look forward. You know, we have music in the park. I think part of it will be a grandstand or bandstand type of facility down there, and certainly help out on the farmers market and a lot of other activities that go there that have been kind of makeshift. This will make it a little more permanent and a better usable space. So wonderful. Anything else, Cody?
And if I may, I would just like to state that although the municipality did take the lead on this grant application, it would not have been possible without our partners in this grant, the Durham BIA and Farmers Market, the Music in the Park group, as well as the Durham and District Court Society, all came in true partnership to assist us with this grant application. And it proved to be a very strong application. So this would not be possible without those community partnerships that we have built.
Wonderful. Any other comments, Doug?
Question for Cody. So what about time frame? Are we able to try to get the pavilion up and running by the end of this year?
Thank you, and through you, we are on a fairly aggressive timeline for this grant project. It must be completed by year end. And right now, in working on timelines with our local builders, we should be able to meet that.
Councillor Townsend, Doug?
Just a quick question, and I know you've probably got this covered, Cody. All the stakeholders that are using that Music in the Park and all the other people, they've got some input into what this band shell gazebo will look like, and it'll have adequate storage for what needs to be stored underneath and so on, et cetera.
Absolutely. We've been working with our stakeholders from day one, and there has not been a decision on this project without consulting with the grand group, I'll say. With that, there will not be any storage included in the pavilion structure. However, we are looking at a designated storage vault in the park for storage.
Good. Councillor Noon first, Joyce.
Thank you. Is this one of these grants too that you have to do like the process of calling for tenders or quotes per se for this project? Like, do you have to go through that, or can you just use resources, like you said, from our own community to build the facility?
So through you, with that being said, the grant itself doesn't require us to use any certain procurement through them. However, we do have a municipal procurement process that we do use internally. So we did issue a tender when we were successful in this grant. The tender process was not as successful as we hoped it would be, just being in the term of construction season that we're in. So following that, we moved to a formal request for quotation, in which we received a quotation, and we'll be working with the local builder. Unfortunately, at this time, I'm not able to disclose who that builder is, but that's where we're at.
And Jeffrey, Councillor Shea.
Yes, also congratulations on this initiative. This is great. The portable washrooms, are those like porta toilets or something? I did see at AMO some very nice self-cleaning not portable, but self-cleaning washrooms. I think they're made of wood or something. And the guy I was talking to said, West Gray. Oh, I know you. I was talking to Cody. And I think he's waiting on a grant. And then I heard we got this grant, and I thought, oh, are we getting one of those? $50,000 washroom? Oh yeah? Okay. So we're getting a porta toilet. Porta potty. But okay, thanks for the clarification. But the other question is, would it be possible for us to see a concept drawing at some point?
Through you, unfortunately, we are not getting a autonomous bathroom solution at this point. It will just be the standard porta potties that we install seasonally, but creating more of a designated area with some more privacy for them. Yes, at some point I can probably share a rough concept drawing. There was a very high level site plan shared with the RFP, so that's a public document, so I could absolutely share that for council's knowledge.
Okay. We didn't get this moved and seconded, didn't we? We've had a great conversation. So we must be the point of moving and seconding it now. Okay. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Forrester moves, Councillor Townsend seconds. Any further questions or comments on the moving the recommendation? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Exciting stuff. Okay. Thank you. No, I'm not going to take any questions, Dwight, but now I know why you. Yeah, I was trying to figure out, wonder what Dwight's up to. Now I know exactly why you're here when this, yeah, it all come together. Congratulations and thank you for your support and help in this, Dwight. Public Works. Jeff, you've got a couple of reports for us this morning, starting with 11.2.1, the annual landfill monitoring results. Any further discussion or information on that other than what's in the very lengthy report?
Believe it or not, I would view the report as an executive summary of the 5 reports that we received, but generally, I'm pleased with what we found in the annual reports, and the report in front of you is very similar to the report you saw last year, raising the same concern about capacity, and was part of the 2024 budget to begin a long-term waste management strategy. And we're in the process of working through preparing that document. But overall, the results are very similar to last year. No serious red flags were raised, and operations are doing a very good job at monitoring the landfill for leachate, and there were no concerns noted in any of the reports.
Excellent. Any questions on the report, Councillor Hutchison?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to make a comment on the provincial waste recycling landfill report. I find it very concerning that there are a lot of questions about landfills and recycling and whatnot going forward. It's mind-boggling. They talk about 10 years for the province in terms of landfill usage. Yet there doesn't seem to be any solutions coming forward in terms of that. The blue box thing is a mess because of so many inconsistencies. So there's a lot of changes, a lot of growth. I hope that you agree with me, Director, that there's a lot of unanswered questions in the report. Maybe not so much for our landfills, but I mean overall in terms of how we handle blue box, garbage, recycling, and so on. There's a lot of things, but then, and on the other hand, there are some good things happening. I agree. So I don't know. I just find it concerning. Do you and your staff find that there's a lot of information still to come?
Through your worship, yeah, I think that's a fair summary. There's a transition occurring with the Blue Box program. That seems to be difficult to follow at times. The organization that's running it is still in the development phase, and the answers aren't straightforward. In my report, I noted that if we needed a new landfill, I don't know if 10 years would be sufficient to go through the process of selecting a site, getting approval, and getting it into service. So hopefully the province has noted their comment on 10 years and the time that would take to actually develop a new landfill.
So two questions that come to mind. One is when we transition and then everybody's going to the bin solution in terms of pickup, how does that work with bag tags? You don't use bag tags if you're doing a roadside pickup?
Yeah. Through your worship, the conversation about curbside pickup with bag tags is beyond the scope of this report. However, our contract does expire in 2026, so we're going to have that conversation in 2025 and how we're going to move forward with waste collection and blue box collection at the curb.
One more question. It talks in your report about a mining potential. Can you explain what that looks like and what are they mining for and how is the product being used?
Through your worship, during most of the active life of our landfills, sorting, i.e. recycling, was not a standard operating practice. And in most cases, and none of this is unique to West Grey, compaction was limited to a bulldozer or some sort of payloader and not necessarily a proper compactor. So what we've done as part of the long-term waste management plan, we've excavated some strategic spots, like a grid pattern almost at Normanby, because it's a large site, and the original 7 trenches at Bentic to do a cost-to-benefit analysis of is it worth excavating any closed part of our landfills to determine if there's enough material that it would be worth sorting and doing proper compaction and generating some additional capacity with our existing sites. It's a long process. It's not a simple process, but it's something we're taking a look at to determine what we can do about our limited 16.9 years. Is there an opportunity for us to do something internally ourselves?
I can say that Simcoe County was probably one of the leads on that mining activity over the past, I'm going to say probably 20 years, that they started that mining. And that was, they found being able to expand the lifetime of their landfills. I don't know whether they got 25%. Some of them, I know some of the landfills that they did, but they did it on a county level. And it's taking out some of that metals, plastics that were just not in the sorting, recycling at the time. Some of it's 40, 50 years ago that they were, talking to this former CEO, Mark Aiken, who at the time was the director of that, was amazing of what they found. And, a lot of it was one of the surprising things they said, what they mined out was newspapers at the time, compacted down in there. And other than the front page you could read, they were compacted and a little bit sticky. You couldn't get them apart, but 50, 60-year newspapers, you could still read them because there'd been nothing there. Now, they ended up being recycled and going back into newsprint, but that's the mining aspect of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes the cost-benefit analysis that I think that Director Aiken's here said might not work. And Mark Aiken, I don't believe is related to Jeff Aiken. I'll just, give that. Okay, Joyce, Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, and thank you for the report. You had mentioned that, with generally to look at a new site would take 20 years or more. And currently Bentic's looking at 16.9 years based on the same time net volume coming in. In your long-term waste management plan, would you as staff consider looking at the acreage available at the Bentic site, that it could be expanded to take in more waste, plus the fact that we need to reduce our litter? And I ran the report from the AMO report on recommendations to reduce litter. So education, communication is going to be a big factor as well to help, even with our 16.9 years of life. So in saying that though, would you recommend seeking information that we could maybe expand the Bentic site? That's one of my questions.
Through your worship, it would be my expectation that the long-term waste management plan would examine what could we do at the Normanby site, because it is a large piece of acreage. The only part we need to kind of be aware of is when the original certificate of approval was issued for that site, buffers, setbacks, contaminant attenuation zones weren't as big and as stringent as they are now. So can we move outside the current boundaries? I would be surprised, but it's not off the table. It's worth examining. I think the biggest or the most important point to consider is there material that we can take out of there and sort, recycle, and within compaction, what can we do in the existing footprint to increase capacity? And once we've done that analysis, then we could consider the pros and cons of expanding, i.e. cost to benefit.
So you're referring to the Norby site. I'm referring to the Bentic site. Bentic also was using the trench to bury, for the waste. Then I had the understanding that we could start mounding then on top of the trenches, or is that factored in with that 16.9 years?
Through your worship, the mounding would be considered in the 16.9, but before we mound too much on the original 7 trenches, the long-term waste management plan will discuss the benefits of mining those existing 7 trenches to see if we can gain some additional capacity before we start or finish the mounding on those original areas.
No, so there's one more thing, but it's generally a comment for all of council. But I think we need to, because of what Ontario is experiencing with such reduced landfill sites available, that we need to maybe collaborate with the County of Grey and look at maybe finding other resources or finding ways that maybe as a county, we can find better cost savings, maybe more things to work together to make Grey County a place where we can still look after our waste. I don't know. It's just something I know I've addressed that one other time at the wardens meeting about, you know, I think we need to work together at a county level for our waste management.
That'll be a deep conversation. One of the facts that Southgate and West Grey are kind of envious that we have capacity, and there's a few municipalities out there that would really like to open up that conversation because they don't have. Oh, that would be the city of Owen Sound that's been shipping garbage to Michigan, their refuse, for a number of years. But I do agree with you, and I think that staff are certainly working on everything and anything, possibilities from technology to best practices to continue to be able to have our capacity there for the community of West Grey. Anything else? Councillor Townsend?
Yes, and to that end, Mr. Mayor, I know when we were up at AMO, I know Councillor Forster and I both attended one of the luncheon meetings on waste disposal and what some of them are doing in the States. And so I just wanted to, you know, ask the director, I guess, when you're putting together your plan that we're going to talk about in 2025, because of what's going to happen in 2026, there's all kinds of new technologies out there to combat basically the old-fashioned way of, you know, digging a hole and burying it in the ground to get rid of waste that are maybe beneficial to the municipality or even at the county level, that some of these things can maybe if we all bought onto it and got together, to Councillor Noon's point, that we could, you know, run a small hydroelectric plant or a small, they were talking about creating hydrogen fuel out of disposal of waste. So there's a lot of new and exciting engineering and technology coming out that we don't have to necessarily consider going down the same path we've gone down for years of digging a hole and burying it. So things we need to consider.
Okay. Any other questions? Need a mover and a seconder? Yes, I didn't think I had one as of yet. To receive the landfill monitoring reports. Councillor Noon, seconder. Councillor Townsend. Thank you. Any further questions on the recommendation, the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Next one, annual performance report, the stormwater management system. Any other added information, Director Aiken?
No, I think the report summarizes our first ever stormwater management report.
Okay. Before I get a mover and a second, or any other questions about the stormwater? Councillor Noon, Joyce?
I know it's emphasized probably in Durham and Newstead because of I don't know if the water and the sewer has any bearing on that, but what about our rural like Ayton and Elmwood for stormwater management? It really doesn't specify those other small rural areas as far as, you know, having the best drainage for our stormwater in those locations.
Jeff?
Yes, through you, your worship. The bulk of the storm water collection system in Eaton is owned by the county. So that's managed by the county in theory. It's very similar in Elmwood. However, as a formal subdivision were to come online with a storm water collection system, then you would see it be considered as part of the West Grey stormwater system. Very complicated answer, but that's the way the province set up the current environmental compliance approval for stormwater systems.
Okay. Anything else? Councillor Shea. Jeff?
Yes, I noticed that in here you report that there were no complaints of flooding, and yet in the 2003 report. But I know that on Sadler Street there's flooding every year, and people there seem to complain. I know they call me and complain, and so I'm just wondering, A, why that's not included, and B, if there is any remedial action planned there, like enlarging or clearing out culverts, or any other sorts of cleaning up and enhancing the drainage through that area. Jeff?
Through you, your worship. I became aware of those concerns initially at a very high level in February at an open house hosted by SVCA. Since then and recently, I have received feedback directly from one community member. So moving forward, I would expect the report, the 2024 report, which you'll receive in 2025, will acknowledge those complaints. I have talked to our infrastructure engineer to start brainstorming what, if anything, can we do about it, specifically on Sadler Street, because I was forwarded a video and some pictures, and of that, yeah, I need to take a look at what to do next. So it's not being ignored, and I would expect in the 2025 budget request, there would be a line item to begin the investigation and how to move forward there.
Thank you. And I understood from that same Saugeen Valley open house meeting that the engineering firm that was undertaking that study was going to do a presentation to council. Have you heard anything about that? And I think they had concrete recommendations in their study around culvert cleaning.
Through your worship, I believe the scope of their work was complete after the open house. I wasn't aware that they were to do a presentation to council. I will double check that with SVCA, but would be my expectation the deliverables have already been received by SVCA. That was not a West Grey driven project.
See, the staff is going to give us an update, and we'll make that communication through to Saugeen Valley as well, to the Conservation Authority. Have a follow up on that of where we're at, especially after the couple of weeks ago, the water that seems to be not 100-year flood, but about once every 5 to 7 years. We seem to have that problem with the Little Creek in Durham. Okay, anything else? I'll need a mover and a seconder to accept the stormwater management report. Councillor Hutchison and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Thank you. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. (11.2.3). Speaking about stormwater and troubled waters, how do we get over them with all of these bridges Mr. Aiken. Report there is on Bridge B 02325. Bentic Bridge on concession 6.
So this report is presented as kind of a precursor to the bridge prioritization strategy that you'll be receiving before the end of the month. Just a bit more detailed thought process of what's going on with 25 and the current state of where we're at and some options to consider. There's nothing budgeted in the 2024 budget. When we're preparing the 2025 budget, we'll have to debate how we want to move forward with this bridge.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Need a mover to receive the report for information at this point in time. Councillor Forrester and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Thank you. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Everybody's favorite topic. We'll go down and do Bridge Gunnell Go 37 and Gunnell Go 38.
What is unique in my previous position, my world was dominated by a conventional filtration plant that didn't work, and my life here looks like it's going to be dominated by bridges. So this is about structure G38, which we discussed a little bit during deliberations of preparing the 2024 budget. And at that time, we did discuss what is the consequence if 38 were to be closed and left closed. What has been brought to my attention, if it is closed and the residents west of it can only head out to concession 2, there has been a history of the river overflowing its banks and flooding out some of the north line. So I did go out there and do a site visit. Potentially, there could be up to 10 houses that might be isolated that would not be able to go either east or west. So the bridge prioritization strategy will evaluate the options of leaving 38 closed and changing the vertical alignment of the road, or leaving the road as is and replacing both structures 38 and 37. I've included 37 here because it's about the same vintage and it is deteriorating also, but it could probably be replaced with culverts to repair or replace. It would actually be replace 38 and not do something with 37. We might find ourselves in a similar position. So I think the project, when we talk about 38, should include 37. So just wanted to be council aware of the concern about the flooding of the river that was not previously discussed. And that will probably show up in the bridge prioritization study as we make recommendations on replacement, rehabilitation, and potential closure.
Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Yeah, it is concerning that our bridges are falling down around us. But I do think, look forward to the bridge presentation coming up this month. I do think that we need to look seriously at maintaining our east-west corridors and any north-south side roads that have a bridge on them. Maybe we need to look at closing them because there seems to be a bit of both. The good part is we do have traffic studies to help us with that. And then also it depends on the circumstances, but we seem to have a lot less building, I would say, on the north-south side roads compared to the east-west roads. So look forward to that.
Okay. Anything else? Hopefully I'll be able to get north-south down the Mulock Road at some point in time over a couple of those bridges. Okay. It certainly is, and it was one thing that we brought up, the Minister of Infrastructure and Minister of Rural Affairs. A number of these bridges, most of these bridges, if not all of them, over the last 50, 60 years. There was significant provincial money went into that because property tax at that point in time when they were built could not afford to put those bridges in at that point in time. And it hasn't changed. It's more of a provincial transportation link for these bridges, and I'm not sure we got it totally through how important provincial funding, income sharing funding is on these, and not property tax on putting these bridges back into place. And the ability to change the standard thoughts on how to replace some of these bridges as well too. It was interesting, the Minister of Infrastructure had said that she was very, the Minister of Rural Affairs was very supportive of a lot more box culverts going in than bridges or culverts, using newer technology on those culverts than repairing bridges, and getting provincial engineers and insurance risk factors in place to starting to use some new technologies in place. So we'll see how that goes forward to adjust. As one municipality had said that they were just in terrible need. They had 50 bridges in their municipality, and my gosh, it was difficult for them. Well, what would you do with 114? Twice that many, more than twice that many. Surprisingly, that municipality had somewhere close to 30,000 people with 50 bridges. We're at 15,000 with 114 bridges. I think it's 114. It might be 116, but whatever. We're double what most municipalities think of majorities. Councillor Hutchison.
It'd be interesting to know that some of the people that work at our ministry, if they really understood or actually seen some of these bridges, if we were to send some pictures of our bridges to them, and people in other municipalities did the same, like the amount of bridges that are old and decrepit and built with the steel structures years and years and years ago, like I really wonder if they understand what we're dealing with out here. You know, when you think of it, I think it'd be a bit of a shock to them when they saw, and to look at some of the conditions that some of them we're dealing with, and no wonder we're closing them, right? So it'd be interesting, a little project if everybody sent their worst 10 to 20 bridges and see how it flies.
Okay. Anything else? We have a mover and a seconder to receive the information report. 0.2.4, 11.2.4. Mover. Councillor Shea, seconder. Councillor Noon. Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. 11.2.5, connecting link, winter maintenance. Anything updated?
Very similar to what you saw last year with the, just with the same price increase as you saw the previous year. So that can be accounted for in the 2025 operating budget.
Okay. Any questions on this? It's absolutely needed. Need a mover and a seconder then. Councillor Townsend and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Recommendation to receive the agreement for the Connecting Link winter maintenance season, the 28,365.50. No other questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And with that, we'll slip in another bridge. Jeff? Anything else here? Any explanation?
I think the report kind of summarizes what I'd like to do. This particular structure has been the subject of 2 motor vehicle accidents. We are in receipt of monies up to $110,000 to repair the railing. I'd like to go ahead and do that. Given that the structures are relatively narrow compared to the rest of the road, we do want to reduce the speed limit in that section. And generally throughout the whole concession, we'd like to reduce the speed limit because of the vertical geometry of the road.
Okay. Any questions or comments before we get the motion? Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Yeah, I'm just curious where the county is in terms, like, this is one of the roads that the county is presumably going to take over at some point, but they make the statement that there are no guarantee that the road transfers will be approved or not. Do we know where their thinking is in terms of any of these roads that they might be wanting to take on? Because we got 3 bridges there they're gonna replace someday. Be nice if the county would take that road on and do the repairs and we carry on.
Jeff, what do you know?
Through your worship, I was kind of hoping the same thing initially. Even went as far as suggesting if they wanted to go ahead and replace the bridge now, we would turn the monies over to them, but it doesn't appear that they're ready to move forward at this time. And I don't want to put our staff through another winter doing winter control with the barricade that's on the bridge. I do want to repair the railing both for staff safety and public safety.
County is still working on that, but I would imagine we'll be at a minimum a year out on as they continue to gather more information of what it's going to take before there'll be a decision made on some of the transfers from lower tier to upper tier and upper tier to lower tier. So it is something that hasn't fallen off the radar. It's still there, but there's a fair bit of work on some of these roads of what it would take for a municipal road to be uplifted and what the costs of those are going to be. But I think at this point, it's fair to, we may have been rolling the dice on this one as far as doing something, and you know, we can't wait that long, I think is what the director is saying for sure. Councillor Noon.
Thank you, and thank you for your report and your recommendation. I highly recommend too that we get this done, like that money's there to do it. You had mentioned about reducing the speed for the bridges to a 40-kilometer, and then I'm not sure, like 60. Is that for all of concession 12? You're looking at reducing the speed because it is a heavily trafficked road. Like it's used now probably more than County Road 9, like through 8 and out to number 6 highway.
Yes, through your worship, yes, you are correct. Just for the reason you gave is even more reason to reduce the speed limit. Yeah, it would appear that the traffic count is very similar to a county road, but it's not built to a county standard, which is even more reason to reduce the speed limit.
So I guess just to be clear, we're reducing the speed limit between the 2nd and what did you say, Bill Scriven Side Road? 25. Thank you. Yes. Couldn't remember 25, 30. Yeah, didn't want to become an auctioneer. Or is it from Highway 6 to Grey Road 3?
The 60 km/h, I was proposing from Highway 6 to Grey Road 3, with the exception of those 3 bridges where it would be further reduced.
Thoughts? Councillor Forrester, your territory.
Are there not already speed reduction signs at the bridges down to 30 now?
Through your worship, yes, Councillor Forrester, you are correct, but those are construction signs and they're difficult to enforce. These would be enforceable.
I'll admit I'm a speedster, but I'm like 60 seems pretty low. I'm wondering if we could like further like east and west with the 40. I don't, the police will be busy. I don't know. I'm just wondering if we're reducing that 60 I'm just cautious on that. Thank you.
Comments, questions, anything else? Councillor Townsend.
Well, just a comment or an observation and maybe to what Councillor Noon was alluding to, dropping it to 60 would be about half the speed limit that people are traveling on it now. But from a safety concern, and I can see where the director's coming from, the road's not engineered to county standards and whatnot. And with the amount of truck traffic and vehicle traffic, farm traffic and everything traveling that road, a collision at 60 kilometers an hour is maybe a better outcome than a collision at 120 kilometers an hour. So it will take some enforcement by our local police to get the message across to the morning and evening commuters anyway that travel that road, because it is very heavily traveled. And also, I guess, when we're doing the repair on Bridge 60, what's the anticipated downtime? Because that's going to affect a lot of people traveling that road.
Yeah.
Through your worship, every effort will be put forth to keep it to essentially one lane open when possible. There will be some days where they will need the full bridge deck to make the repair to the railing. Once we have the contractor selected and in place, we'll review his proposed work program with a heavy emphasis to minimize lane closures. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Councillor Forrester. Scott?
Are we replacing with alike what was there before?
Through your worship, yes, it'll be a 2024 version of the railing that's there now.
The railing that's there now is a Jersey barrier.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Anything else? I guess I just question the rationale from Highway 6 to Gray Road 3. Is that where it's going to stop? Because concession 12 then goes to the county line. Not a heck of a lot of difference. There's a couple of bridges going from west from Gray Road 3. I'm not opposed to the speed limit, but for years our roads have all been predominantly 80 kilometer. Taking a look at the 14th, it's a gravel road. It's got some vertical challenges to it. And I think using this rationale to go that length, should we be reducing the speed limit on all of our municipal roads to 60?
That's where we may end up. However, when we do reconstruct a road, we can take a look at the vertical and horizontal alignment and consider design speed and posted speed. Now, I don't mean for pulverize and pave, but for a complete rebuild, like we're looking at on Glenelg Road 23, that is a complete rebuild where we do have the opportunity to look at design and posted speed. I agree, it is a slippery slope. There are lots of issues with vertical alignment, and where do we stop? Well, I'm only focused on this particular issue at this time, because that's the one in front of me at this particular time.
Chair, discuss it. Could you take over the chair for a few minutes, Mr. Deputy Mayor? I'd like to put something in play here.
I will assume the chair, Mr. Mayor.
I would agree with you between the two hills and whatnot, between the second and side road 25. But concession 12 was redone a number of years ago and paved and brought up to a standard. And I thought at that point it was to an 80 kilometers at that point in time. To Councillor Townsend's thoughts, reducing that speed and the traffic that is on that road that Councillor Nunes proposed, using that's why I'm saying from Grey Road 3 to the county line, it's the same thing. So why would we stop there? I'm saying between 25 and concession 2, I can go with the 60 kilometer down those hills and through there, and 40K between the bridges. But I just can't support the idea of a 60 from Grey Road or from Highway 6 to the county line, or to Grey Road 3 for that matter. So I would put forward, recommend a slight amendment to your recommendation, if that's at all possible. Reduce the, I would move the motion, but to reduce the speed between concession 2 and side road 25 and the 40 kilometer between the bridges. Is that acceptable, sir? Side road 25, yeah, 28.5. Sure can.
Thank you. I do not believe we had the main recommendation moved yet, Mr. Clerk.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that is correct. So what Mayor Eccles has just moved is the first part of the motion as it stands. Second part slightly tweaked with 2A being reduce the posted speed between concession 2 and side road 25 to 60 kilometers an hour, and further reduce the posted speed inclusive from bridge structure 58 to bridge structure 60 to 40 kilometers an hour.
Okay, thank you. And that's what you move, Mr. Mayor. So I have the moves. I'm looking for a seconder to get the motion on the floor, please. Councillor Forster, you'll second that? Yes?
Yes, I'd second that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have the recommendation on the floor. Any comments or questions? No, seeing none, then we'll call the vote. All those in favor with the recommendation as presented? Those opposed? Okay, but one opposed. I see majority has voted in favor. That motion is carried. And I will transfer the chair back to you now, Mr. Mayor.
Finally, we have some good news for you. There is an opportunity to enter into an agreement, or we actually do need to enter into an agreement with Circular Material Ontario regarding our opt-in for blue box collection at the Durham and Bentic sites. As you see, that it'll net out about $26,000 in revenue for us for the upcoming year. Thank you.
Questions? Joyce? Councillor Noon.
With this agreement with CMO, would our current contract with waste management lessen with depot collection and the bin rentals through waste management? Like, or would CMO then provide the bins? Like how will all that work between them taking on the recycling operation at the depot, but not curbside? I understand. Curbside would still be waste management's jurisdiction. I just need some clarification on that.
Yeah, through your worship, it is very convoluted. I'll concede in that point, but I would view CMO as kind of the management umbrella. And I believe they went out to tender for a service provider such as Waste Management, and I believe Waste Management will likely end up being the primary service provider. So I don't actually see a change in how the service is operated by the municipality. I think it'll look and feel seamless to the end user showing up at either the transfer station or the landfill.
Anyone else? Councillor Hutchison.
So right now, how does this process work in terms of, like it's Waste Management that takes the recyclable material then to another, like either their depot or to another provider, and they pay us an annual salary also? Like, is it just taking over for them? Right.
Through your worship, Waste Management currently comes and picks up the bins and takes them away, and we rent the bins from them. The nitty-gritty detail on how it's actually going to work with Waste Management moving forward, we'll be working with them in the next month or two, but I believe it'll still be Waste Management showing up and hauling the material like they have been. Just now, you have an opportunity, or you're going to get $26,000 a year for that service.
And we weren't getting any money before from our recycled material?
Just the tipping fee, and which was minimal.
Joyce?
With past experience, when we started our new contract with Waste Management, we were getting revenues for market value. Market value fell off the radar. And then we lost that revenue base. And then we also inherited costing then because of the residue or the contamination being so high. So now then we were paying costs for that over and above our normal fees. So I really, if this is all through Waste Management still, I'm really leery. I'm hoping that 26,000 continues for the remainder of this contract. Or this is this blue box circular though.
Right.
So there shouldn't be an end to it. It should continue into the next contract, but I don't know, I'm leery.
Okay. Need a mover and a seconder for the recommendation to accept. Deputy Mayor Hutchison moves, seconder. Councillor Forrester. Okay. Any further questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right. Thank you very much, Jeff. Eleven point 3.1, Director of Legislative Services, Clerk Jamie. Appointment of members to the Durham BIA Board. Jamie.
Thank you, Miracles. And through you, council reviewed applications for the Durham Business Improvement Area Board at its closed meeting on August 13th, 2024. And provided direction to staff to bring forward a report to appoint formally the recommended individuals to the Durham Business Improvement Area Board for the term of council. In the intervening time, all of the individuals that were recommended for appointment have been contacted and have confirmed that they would like their name to stand for appointment. The schedule of individuals recommended for appointment are attached to my report, and the recommendation of the report is that council appoints individuals to the Durham Business Improvement Area Board as noted in Schedule A attached to this report.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions, comments on the motion? Recommendation? Need a mover and a seconder for the recommendation. Councillor Townsend, Councillor Hutchison. You choose which, Doug, one or two. Any further comments on the recommendation? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Request for renaming 11.3.2 of Corley Drive. Jamie, this one is yours. It's an update.
Thank you, Miracles. And through you, staff received a request to rename Corley Drive at the south end of West Gray to Watson Drive. The request was brought forward as a way to honor former Mount Forest Mayor Alex Watson for his role in the creation of the industrial park lands at the edge of Mount Forest. Staff have circulated the request to Public Works staff who have no concerns with the road renaming, and the request meets the requirements of the corporate asset naming policy. So similar to the report that was brought forward earlier in the meeting by Mr. Hewlett, if council is supportive of proceeding with this, a public engagement campaign would be undertaken prior to a report coming back for council to consider renaming Corley Drive, Watson Drive.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Sorry, Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just curious about where the name Corley came from. What's the significance of that? Is there going to be any issues with changing from that name? You know? Jamie?
To the best of my knowledge, through your Miracles, this was just a made-up name. I don't think it has any significance to anything or anyone. It was just a name given at the time that the area was completed.
I think I can further add to that, Doug, was that the developer of the business park, HY Construction, they were the ones that come up with that name at that point. Part of it being the Corley family and a family name. It is HY Construction that is recommending the change in the name. So, okay. Jeffrey, Councillor Shea.
During the last term of council, we considered a request to change the name of the Heritage Bridge in Durham, to name it after a past councillor who was very active in the renovation and upkeep of that facility, of that structure. And the upshot was that we chose not to. And I think a big part of the thinking behind that was that politicians should not be naming things after politicians. It seems somehow inappropriate to be naming, publicly owned, shared facilities after the very small group of people who, are elected to sort of manage the affairs of the municipality. So I'm not in support of this. I don't think we should even start the process of engagement. I think we should just reject this out of hand and prevent anyone from getting their hopes up and going to all that trouble.
Okay. Joyce, do you have a comment or no? No? Okay. You move a second for this? No? Okay. Looking, any other comments? All right. I'll look for a mover and a seconder for this. Yep. Here. Councillor Townsend? Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Hutchison. Very good. So it's on the floor. Any further questions, comments on the motion? Being done, going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right. West Gray Joint Health and Safety Committee, 11.3.3. Jamie.
Thank you, Miracles. And through you, the Occupational Health and Safety Act requires a joint health and safety committee to be constituted at workplaces with 20 or more workers regularly employed. West Gray requires a health and safety committee with a minimum composition of 4 members, with at least half of the members not being in or exercising managerial functions. West Gray has typically appointed members to the Joint Health and Safety Committee by bylaw, a practice that is not recommended moving forward. The the rationale behind that is that because the Occupational Health and Safety Act does require workplaces with 20 or more regular employees employed to constitute a health and safety committee, and not all workplaces can pass bylaws, it doesn't really serve much of a function and actually inhibits our ability to be in compliance with the act. So the way it is right now is that we appoint members to this committee by bylaw, and then if there's a change in membership, be it somebody leaves or somebody's promoted or the work situation changes, it can put us in a position where we're no longer in compliance with the act. So by repealing the bylaw as it stands now, we're able to better pivot to changing workforce demands, and we can fill those gaps should they arise more quickly so that we can ensure compliance with the act. So the recommendation in the report is that Council directs staff to bring forward a bylaw to repeal bylaw 101-2022, being a bylaw to appoint a joint health and safety committee. And with that, I will note that if that bylaw is passed, West Grey will still have a joint health and safety committee. It will just be organized and constituted at the staff level rather than at the bylaw level.
Okay, comments, thoughts? Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
Well, maybe answer this, Jamie, but so how are we appointing members to this this committee then if we're not doing a bylaw? Go ahead.
So through your miracles, bylaws are not required, as this applies to all workplaces, not just municipalities. So there are steps within the Occupational Health and Safety Act for the appointment of members. It's generally done through call for nominations at the staff level, and if there's more interest than there are positions, then we can either create additional positions on the Joint Health and Safety Committee. We must have a minimum of 4, or a vote can be held. So we can make sure at the staff level that those roles are filled, and then it's just it's an appointment, not formally through legislation, just more of a signing up for the role, and then they would continue to serve on in that role until such time as people change or there's no longer interest from that individual. We would just swap them out.
Okay. Councillor Noon, Joyce?
Thank you. So currently then you'd have policies and procedures in place, like for near incidents or accident happening, like for management to fill out, like kind of the committee always kind of kept on top of those sorts of things. So according to the Occupational Standards Act, all those are met within that and would give you that information needed to, you know, make sure that each workplace is conducting in a safe environment.
Through miracles to Councillor, and yes, that is correct. And staff would continue to, the committee would continue to do inspections of workplaces and solicit feedback from workers to see if they've got any concerns with health and safety matters that they can raise at the time.
Okay. All right. Tom, Deputy Mayor.
I was just going to say, Mayor Eccles, I will so move the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Councillor Noon. Next choice. Any further questions or comments on this? Councillor Shea. Yeah.
Does joint refer to management and non-management? And how are the management positions filled?
Through miracles to Councillor Shea, yes, that is correct. So joint being managerial members and worker members. So the managerial members would be solicited the same way as the non-managerial members were. So if myself as a director was interested, I would say, you know, I've got interest in serving on this committee. If the CAO or the treasurer also had interest, we would do that similar process where there could be a vote as well if there was more interest than there is vacancies.
Go ahead, Jeff.
And would the managerial representatives be elected by managers or by all staff?
If there was a vote to take place, I would suggest that the vote take place amongst all staff.
Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Jamie. That's it for directors' reports. Good. questions? Any questions from any members of council on anything? Tom, Deputy Mayor.
Mayor Eccles, and I hope Director Aiken's in the building. I was just wondering if we could have an update on Victoria Street in Ayton and when that work's going to begin for the fall. Thank you.
Yes, your worship, it's still on the agenda for this fall. No, the start date has not been scheduled as we're still wrapping up our surface treatment works.
So it is still scheduled. I guess the biggest thing is, yeah, scheduled in to be completed before winter gets here.
That is correct.
Good. Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Townsend, Doug?
Yes, thank you. I got a couple things. First for our representatives on Grey County Council. There was a there was an item out a month or so ago about the county helping the city of Owen Sound cover the court costs in Owen Sound, helping to reimburse them, but from a county level. But as West Grey and Hanover, our courts are Walkerton. We don't deal with the Owen Sound court. So are we in a roundabout way contributing to Owen Sound's court costs, or our percentage of what the county is going to use as court cost money that they're giving to Owen Sound is a percentage from that West Grey, and with that stuff, that money come back to us to help us offset our court costs in Walkerton? Just a thought. Who wants to stick handle that one?
The interesting point about it is it's to offset Owen Sound's policing costs at the court. Courts in Walkerton are the policing there is done by the OPP, so it's not the lower tier municipality Brockton that's picking up that cost. And the thought process is that, yes, because a number of municipalities, it shouldn't be left to our neighbors in Owen Sound that their municipal police force has to pick up all of those costs. And it was the factor that most of the municipalities come through Owen Sound, and the majority vote was that the county offset some of those costs that the province said would be revenue neutral, but through the accounting process, and I think our director of finance would say the same thing, most of the things that the province says that are revenue neutral have fallen way behind on the neutrality of that. So the county, the majority of the county councillors picked that up. Yes, West Grey and Hanover will be, some of our taxes will be going there, but in this point in case, from your county, taxes will be going to support the city of Owen Sound on that. But none of our property taxes are going at this point in time to cover off, because it's an OPP cost, so it's picked up somehow or another by the province when it comes to OPP costing, and not Brockton. So our costs are Owen Sound will still have to cover their policing that are there in the courts and whatnot, doing judgmental on the cases, very similar to what West Grey's are. It's the policing of the courts that this is going to offset. So in a roundabout way, no, West Grey's not going to get anything, and neither is Hanover, but we're not paying anything out either on those costs.
Okay, thank you for that. And I guess my next question would be for Mr. Hewlett, if he's around. Just wondering about the finishing off of the splash pad, and there's been some safety concerns raised. Is there going to be a fence between the splash pad and the laneway that runs in behind the fire hall and the police station? Simply due to the fact that if there's comings or goings in a fast manner there by the police to get out, or the fire guys, that we're protecting any children that may be on that laneway. And another question concerning that too is there he is, some tree planting also that has taken place. Understanding we probably look after our own snow removal there in behind the police station and the fire hall, but it seems there's trees are now where the snow pile used to be. So if there's going to be any change in the snow removal there also.
Thank you. And through you, as for the question, we are working internally with the Public Works Department to work on the installation of a fence to help delineate the roadway there behind the police and fire station. As well, we are working with them on a snow removal process for the upcoming snow season.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Sorry, Councillor Hutchison. Doug?
Maybe just to follow along on that same thought process. I wondered if there's any thought on putting a fence along the riverside. Just because as I was there, there's looks like the overflow or the runoff from the splash pad goes towards the river. There's a culvert in there and it's not in very good shape. And I see kids playing around there and whatnot. I'm just wondering about liability issues. Some of the kids actually end up in the river with a lot of stones and whatnot. And if somebody falls and hits their head, are we going to be liable because we allow them to go down in there? So I'm just wondering if that's maybe another option, is maybe looking at fencing on the riverside. I know it's sort of a neat little spot, but there are a lot of issues when kids start going down in there. So just some thoughts.
Seen the Barney Pond, and do you work with conservation authorities? Cody, sorry.
Thank you. And through you, I have spent a lot of time down at the splash pad just watching how people use the space and how parents and guardians move through the space. So we are, as we're looking at the fencing to delineate the roadway, we'll take a full look at the park and see where safety guarding needs to be. The culvert we're still working on some construction there. So we'll be looking at some ways to delineate that space as well.
Okay, any other questions? Nope. Then we'll move on to bylaws. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bylaws. You can do them. Yeah, okay. This one just says bylaw. Okay, I was looking at the title and I'm sorry, Janie, that's where I got confused because it didn't, include them. All the bylaws from 72 to 76. Do we have a mover and a seconder to get those on? Councillor Hutchison and Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any comments, questions on the motion? Councillor Hutchison. Ben?
Yeah, regarding bylaw 2024-073, I'm just curious about the dates in there. It says further down about the third whereas on March 7, 2023, the municipality adopted bylaw 2023-020 requires at least 7 days notice to pass a bylaw to permanently close a road. But then the next line says, whereas public notice was intention to stop and close highway given as of August 8, 2024. There seems to be like over a year's lag in there. And I'm curious, I think I know where this property is. Is this the one that's just north of concession 8 on the west side that that where the road was correct, was straightened out there? Is that the property we're talking about?
No.
No. I'm just curious about the time lag in there, like, it looks like
None.
we should
Go
have
ahead,
probably
Jim.
done earlier on. I don't know.
So through turn my own microphone off. Three miracles. The recitals in the bylaw are for reference purposes. So the reference to March 7th, 2023, that's the date that council adopted the notice policy for the municipality. So that's not the date that the road closing was initially introduced. That was just the meeting at which and the date at which a bylaw adopting a notice policy for the municipality of West Grey was adopted. So that's why there's a discrepancy there. Again, that's just for logical flow of the legislation, looking at the recital clauses. So just basically providing information to anyone looking at this bylaw that we've followed our policies. Here's the policy. It was enacted on March 7th. And on August 8th, we did what we were required to do under that policy that was adopted on March 7th, 2023. So it's just ensuring that those checks and balances are in place so that anyone looking at the legislation can see and follow the bouncing ball, so to speak.
But doesn't that seem to be a long time lag between when we started it and when we're now posting it, like March?
No, Doug. Go ahead, Jamie.
Three miracles. March 7th, the notice bylaw policy is irrelevant to the closing of the road in the grand scheme of it all. The notice policy speaks to how we provide notice for things like amendments to the fees and charges bylaw, development charges, closing of highways, and things of that like. So that's pointing to that. That's just pointing to the governing legislation for providing notice. August 8th is when we passed, or when we provided notice of the intent to stop up and close this. So there's only been about a month.
Still curious. I guess I should have asked earlier, but what is?
Did you ever take a bicycle ride up Glen Roden on concession 2 of Canal?
Concession 2 north, yeah, going north.
Yeah. Right there on the hill. West side of the road.
Past the bridge?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, that's the one I was referring to.
Yeah.
Keckering and
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I know where it was, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yes, it has. It's going to be a conclusion of it. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. New business. Over to you, sir.
Receive the chair from Mayor Eccles under new business 14.1. The motion, Mr. Mayor, you gonna read your motion?
I can read the whole motion if everybody wants, but I'm going to give you the Coles notes, really of it. We've had some initial conversations from at police services and with staff from the city of Owen Sound Police that they would like to enter into basically a partnership but enter into conversations on how the two police services, West Grey and Owen Sound, can work together to find cost efficiencies, basically to help one another out. As amalgamations happen here and there, we're two small services that certainly need the support of one another and have supported one another very well. Owen Sound does the dispatch for West Grey on a cost services basis. And this motion is to allow the two services, allow staff to step forward. What we're looking for is permission from council to step forward on how to or implement cost savings measures and trying to find some efficiencies that we can work together to find those. And I'm going to answer the question. There is another municipal service in Grey County. At this point in time, they are, some of the initial conversations, they were there, but are at this point not ready to discuss anything with us. But I would hope that going forward that they can be incorporated. But this one is just strictly for Owen Sound and West Grey to sit down. It is not, priority or the main thing about joining the services, but that may come up. I'm not going to say that it won't. But how can we start getting more effective and efficient services by working together? And it's thought that we can. So it's given permission to West Grey to engage with the city of Owen Sound on efficiencies, as I said, and effectiveness of the police services. And that's what the gist of this request is.
So I'm going to ask you, sir, would you like to move that motion? And I'll get a seconder and then we'll put it on the floor and then we'll have discussion?
Certainly.
Okay. Your mic's on, sir. So we're limited for space. I do have that moved by Mayor Echols. Is there a seconder, please? With motion on the floor. Okay, Councillor Noon's going to second it. Now I'll open it up for comments and questions. So I did see Councillor Hutchison. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so we've been here before. If council remembers, for those people that were around or listening in, we did have discussions with Owen Sound Police Services last term on council when we were looking at making some changes or whether we were keeping our own police services. And I don't really have a problem with this, but I do when at the time when we were looking at maybe joining forces or whatever, it becomes a little bit unrealistic to think that West Grey would share the policing feet on the ground sort of thing with an Owen Sound because of Chatsworth being in between us and possibly some of Meaford, Georgian Bluff sort of thing. We're too far away, but as far as the administrative thing of it, I see that there could be some merit to that. I do think that it should be, including Hanover and maybe even Bruce County in terms of Saugeen Shores. They have, I think it's just Port Elgin, Saugeen Shores, the only independent police force over there. So maybe it should even be bigger. So it becomes a regional organization that deals with policing other than OPP. So I don't really have a problem with it, but I do think it, as far as us thinking that we could actually share police officers and whatnot and patrolling, I don't think that would work.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Councillor Townsend, go ahead, please.
Thank you. And I echo what Councillor Hutchinson just said. I can see maybe on the administrative side and, buying power and that sort of thing, working together as municipal forces and joining forces that way to get a better deal on items. But as far as officers and feet on the ground, too much geography in between the two centers. And again, would it be a matter of us, would we be going their way more than they'd be coming our way? Would our taxpayers be subsidizing Owen Sound police services, police servicing going on in Owen Sound? A lot of questions about it, but I think for the most part, I can see on an administrative side, if we can get a better deal on a skid of paper instead of each of us buying a half a skid, I can see that sort of thing, but I can't see as far as officers, I can't see how that would play out at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any comments, questions down on this end? Councillor Shay, go ahead, please.
You mentioned in your Coles Notes version that it wouldn't necessarily, but could possibly look at some sort of joined service, but that it's just a discussion to be had in general. Yet the way that the motion is written, it says, potential implementation of joint municipal police services, and further on, to evaluate the feasibility, benefits, and potential structure of a joint municipal police service. So it does sound like it's an exploration of joining the police services. I'm not opposed to the idea, but I was just curious if you could provide some more background as to how you came up with this at this juncture, given that it has been discussed in the past. What's the impetus that's sort of driving this right now?
One of the emphasis is certainly in it where it came from. It came from the city of Owen Sound. Was directed from that end of it. What the city of Owen Sound is finding trouble with, and a number of other small municipal services, West Grey not being one of them, but a number of small services out there, is the ability to attract staff and personnel. For the fact that in a small unit, the idea of being moving up and having expertise, and one of the places that it really came for the city of Owen Sound was last year, when they had a number of I'll use it, horrific incidences. They had 4 murders in the city. Have not had any murders in the city for a few years. It was finding that staff that could do that investigative, that were at that level to be able to do those investigations, and the capacity. They didn't have the capacity to investigate 4 murders. Surprisingly, Grey Bruce OPP didn't have them either. West Grey has 2 individuals that are trained in that. And I think that that's where the biggest emphasis came from, that, is the city large enough, or do they have that ability to attract and to be able to maintain their staffing going forward? And yeah, was it, if we amalgamated, would you get to that size and capacity where you could have that expertise for individuals getting into police servicing? But the bigger thing was, the cost. Is Owen Sound big enough? Is West Grey? We've been very fortunate of having a good management staff that's been able to find some efficiencies and effectiveness, but it's a struggle. So joining together and trying to find those, as Councillor Townsend said, would be the best purchasing practices, management practices, to be able to attain that and be able to maintain our police in a municipal service. And that's where the conversations have initiated and started.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, follow-up? Follow-up, go ahead, please.
So in the resolution, it says directs staff to initiate discussions with representatives. So the staff would be our CAO, I presume. So it's going to be someone at the senior staffing level. And so to initiate discussions with representatives from the city of Owen Sound. By representatives, I assume that means staff. It doesn't mean elected representatives.
I think that the way it should, it doesn't lay that out, but no, I would think that there should be at least one representative elected from the Police Services Board. And yes, and or one of those two ladies or both of those ladies that are on the end of that desk over there. I'm going to leave Jody. She doesn't want to. No, she's shaking her head. Nope. But I think for the effectiveness and whatnot, possibly our director of finance and the CEO, yes, would be the staff, I would think, that would be involved in that and putting it together.
So it further goes on to say, involving the two police service boards. Now we have the situation of having our mayor chair our police service board. I assume the chair of their police service board is not an elected representative. So I'm just curious who's going to be at the table. Mayor Ian Boddy is the chair of their police service board. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up or that's good? Comments, questions from this end? Comments, questions down there? Okay, Councillor Townsend, go ahead, please.
So just back to the motion itself. This isn't it's going to start as a discussion about buying paper and pens and working together that way, but it could evolve into a discussion almost around sharing services and merging forces.
I think that was the need. Yes. Yeah, it could possibly get to that point. But that would need to, anything in that and beyond that is here at the council. You had a couple of questions earlier about, on that, you said about the effectiveness of purchasing and those types of things and sharing management. We share some computer services with the city of Owen Sound as well too. They look after a lot of the municipal police services, computer stuff here, IT. That, we get that portion, and then you certainly ask some questions. There could be, that would be a way of getting answers of what that is, but at this point in time, that would have to come as a there could be some discussion on it, but anything going forward of what it would look like would absolutely have to come back here for further comments and or an agreement.
Okay, we're looking for any closing comments or questions, please. Councillor Hutchison, go ahead, please.
I presume too that there possibly could be some funding implications associated with this in terms of what the government might be looking at going forward in terms of funding OPP and so on. So do you see that as maybe being beneficial if we get into this type of situation?
Well, not being an OPP funded service, I'm not sure where that, that would be more of a philosophical. Do we want to, would West Grey want to stay with that, or is OPP funding and going to be uploaded leasing to the province, to all of those municipalities, and that would open up a totally different conversation. Maybe this group has the opportunity to answer some of those questions as well too, and I think that it probably would when we're looking at cost effectively.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And if I may, from the chair, I think we're funding and all the extra steps that are beyond this. I think we got to just look at the motions before us and stay kind of germane to that. All that other stuff will come eventually through a report, but let's talk about the motion that's here. Has anybody got any comments or closing questions on the specific motion that's before us? Councillor Townsend, and this will be the final comment because I am going to call the vote.
All right. I just want some clarity around the fact that we're not giving an open-ended way to go about this, that any decisions pending that come out of these discussions will come back and the citizens will have an opportunity to vote on that. This council will have an opportunity to vote on that, that nothing will be done with our force.
As the one that's putting this forward and being involved in the initial conversations, you're absolutely correct. There will be no power to implement anything until there's an agreement here, you know, from council's endorsement that, yeah, there's nothing, this is information gathering, and answers to questions, to get the information and the answers to questions that even what's been brought forward here right now. There is no way of, yeah, carte blanche that a group of two, CEO and the director of finance is going to be able to dictate an amalgamation of the Old Sound West Grade Police. No. And I can see the CEO going, absolutely not.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah, the way I see it is just a fact gathering session here and present it back to us as things develop. Now, is there any other comments or questions germane to the motion here? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor, you raise your hand. See, all council members are in favor, none opposed. That motion is carried. That completes that part of the agenda. We're at item number 15. I'm going to transfer the chair back to Mayor Eccles. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for that. Announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Anybody have a very quiet and calm, long weekend and not doing anything except walking in a parade, for the length of it, in Elmwood, Councillor Forrester? You're not going to make any comment on it. Go ahead. Start off, please.
All right, thank you. Coming up on Saturday, September 7th is the Normanby plowing match at the farm of Bad Shank. Saturday, September 21st, the Newstead Fall Fair. And Sunday, the 22nd, the Newstead Lions Club will be having Hammond's Scalloped Potato Dinner, 4:30 to 6:30 at the Newstead Arena, and I forgot to mark down the price. But I'm sure it's affordable.
It's $20 because I already have 4 tickets. So yes, I purchased mine. Yeah, it's 20. Anything else? Councillor Hutchison. Good.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to the Durham Agricultural Society and the Fall Fair organization this past weekend. Very successful event. Lots of people out and weather cooperated, and I think they had a good weekend, and congratulations and thank you to all the volunteers that took part in that event. Yep.
Thank you. Anyone else? Tom. Deputy Mayor.
Okay, just happy to announce that Saturday, December the 14th of this year, the Toronto Maple Leaf alumni, for all you Leaf fans, will be coming to the Durham Recreation Arena for a fundraising game where they're going to be raising funds for the Christmas meals to go home with some of the families that are a little more in need. Tickets, information will all be, we'll get that all rolled out there within the next couple of weeks, so you know where to go with that. And this is endorsed by the Durham Thundercats and a few other people that are on the organizing committee. So I will get the details by the next couple of weeks, and we'll make sure it's available to everyone to figure out how to get involved. Thank you.
So for those, 3 Leaf fans that are still left out there in the world, there'll be enough capacity at some of our arenas for 3 of them to get there? Leaf fans. Oh my goodness. Anyone else? Jeffrey, Councillor Shea.
I think this is our first meeting since AMO, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, okay, so I'd like to report that I went to AMO in Ottawa with several of you, and it was very productive. There's a lot of learning that went on my end, and we did present three delegations, two delegations to ministries and one to the Ontario Medical Association. Sort of lobbying for our infrastructure and for healthcare within our community. And I think we did a very reasonable job. Staff backed us up with some very powerful documentation. The mayor represented us and spoke very ably at those presentations. So all in all, it's my first time attending AMO in Ottawa. So I did find the whole thing very fruitful.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, just as sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I'll just follow up, Councillor Shays. Yes, my first trip to AMO also. Very good, very informative sessions. Lot to take in. It was, I think, very worthwhile. Very networking with other people and seeing the suppliers and the trade show. You see what's available out there. How much of it's maybe outside of our budget, but things that are new technologies that are coming down the pipe that eventually, as a municipality, we'll be able to take advantage of.
Thank you. Yeah, same old. Like to report was there more representing the county, but duly we did have the three delegations. I think probably the best one was with the Ontario Medical Association, with our plight with our hospital. Still fighting. I think we've got the backing certainly of the Medical Association, the doctors that represent them, and it was very nice to see Councillor Townsend with his nice red T-shirt that announced everything about our closing of the Durham Hospital. Sorry, that's the incorrect wordage. Transitioning of the Durham Hospital. Had the meeting last Monday night with the South Bruce Grey Health Center. I'm not sure that was tremendously productive, other than the fact that there was 300 plus individuals that were in the arena, and I think it certainly was the ultimate outcome of that was that they were looking for what the public wanted, and the public were very clear: 24-hour emergency service, 7 days a week, and beds back in the hospital. I think that the CEO that answered all the questions deflected that, or tried to deflect that at every opportunity, but c'est la vie. I unfortunately didn't get to the second open house, was in Chesley, so I can't report on that. Seemed to be the same type of things coming out of Chesley, maybe not quite as vocal and as strong as what some of the individuals from Durham were, from what I've heard. AMO was excellent. 3,300 registered delegates, give or take, 100 either way. We have a new president representing AMO, Robin Jones. Colin Best was the former past AMO president. Robin Jones from Eastern Ontario is the new president of AMO, and looking forward to the great work that they do. If I'm not mistaken, the conference again next year is back in Ottawa. Great place, excellent facility and whatnot, and they share some of the problems, the infrastructure problems that even smaller municipalities have. So, but I think the biggest thing was, from my point of view, rural healthcare, and where the province and Minister Jones, who I was very disappointed, did not entertain us. It was part of her parliamentary assistant, but I think we were, as you said, Jeff, we were very frank with him and got our point across that rural healthcare is different and it needs to be treated differently, but more so needs to be treated with respect, that we need rural healthcare here. Probably need rural healthcare here more locally and accessible than we need beer store beer in every convenience store, having it more accessible and closer to home. I would think we would need healthcare closer as a priority. But I dive going too far into provincial politics there. Elmwood Homecoming, thank you to council members, and big shout out to Cody. We had in the parade at the Elmwood Homecoming was somewhere north of, well, it ran east and west, but the timeline was north of an hour and a half for the whole parade to get past one individual spot. And that certainly had an effect on our ability to be in different places. So thank you to those that did participate in the Durham Fall Fair. And I think the Fall Fair was successful. I was there on Saturday and Sunday, but was in Elmwood a fair bit. And the Newstead Market event on Friday night, Friday afternoon, Friday night, was very successful. Tremendous again there. So thank you to the individuals out there that put that on for our community. A lot of things happening in West Grey over the weekend, and looking forward to that. You mentioned about the plowing match, the Bentic plowing match. Yes, just off of Grey Road 3 and concession 16, Bev Shanks. Next weekend, the Bentic Plowmen's Association as well is, but it's not until October because of the international plowing match took their time when they usually have it. So they've got to move into October. So here's for good weather going even past Thanksgiving this year. So, for the Bentic Plowmen as well. And that's about it. Okay. No closed session, Jamie? So we don't need to report anything out. I think that's all we've got on the agenda. We're adjourned. I'll declare that. Thank you very much. And thank you to anybody that was online today for joining us. Appreciate it.